What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Junkies Podcast. Today is show number 199. I'm almost at that 200 episode mark. That should be coming out next week. I'm glad to hear so many of you are enjoying the podcast. I want to give a big thank you to all those that have reached out, whether it's been through Instagram, email, Facebook, or maybe just by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. I truly appreciate all the support. In the beginning, I was really hesitant about taking over the show because I didn't know anything about podcasting, and honestly, I still don't, but, I'm getting better. And I don't know, it's like I always say, make every well better than your last. And I try to apply that mentality to all things in my life, and podcasting has been no exception. I continue to try to make every episode better than the previous one, and it's really the only way to get better at something. Perform the task, analyze what went right and what went wrong, and make your adjustments and try again and again and again, and eventually you'll get where you want to be. We're still getting started on this whole deal, and there's so much more to come as we approach the end of 2021, thank God, and head into 2022. Things are slowly starting to return to normal. I just had an amazing opportunity to attend the Welcome to Rockville concert on Friday evening in Daytona Beach with some of my friends and fellow coworkers from work. We got to see Chevelle, Social Distortion, Rob Zombie, and my favorite band of all time, Metallica. As you know, a lot of you know, Metallica started the All Within My Hands Foundation to support students pursuing a career in the skilled trades. And as part of the Metallica and the Wolverine Boot Company, they gave our students and instructors passes to the show, and it was freaking amazing. I had a blast. I'm still a little bit sore from the show. I don't know if the mosh pits are getting a little bit more rougher or I'm getting older. I'm pretty sure it's the latter of the two, though. I'm probably just getting too old to jump in the mosh pit. But hey, you only live once. But all in all, it was an awesome concert. It was great to, get out and have that sense of normalcy, get that back in my life. And I want to give a huge shout out to Metallica, the All Within My Hands Foundation, and the Wolverine Boot Company for making it all happen, and the amazing support that they show to students all over the U.S. Just for our school, like the support they've provided it's given so many different students great opportunities, for the young men and women that are getting into the skilled trades. It's amazing to see, big companies and big bands, starting to promote skilled trades and, starting to understand that, having a skilled trade is a viable option. It doesn't have to be a plan B. Skilled trades aren't just for people that can't get into college. So it's really cool to have the backing of huge bands and companies, and, people are starting to realize that we need more skilled trades workers. And, now is a great time to get into any of the skilled trades, whether it's welding or plumbing or HVAC or electrical or any of that stuff, I'm happy to see, starting to come back around full circle. So in this episode, I am hanging out with none other than Mr. Bob Moffatt. We got to hang out at the Excel welding competition last week up in Dallas, Georgia, and watch a bunch of young welders compete in several different welding competitions. And in this episode, Bob and I sit and talk about the competition, what he's been up to, different types of PPE, different tools and equipment to make your life easier. Give a shout out to a couple cool YouTube channels you might want to follow, and some other great resources for the up-and-coming generation of welders. We'll get into all that and more right after a word from the supporters of the show. Today's episode of the Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Everlast Welders. They make machines for every skill level and every budget. Hop on over to everlastwelders.com today and find out what's right for you. Whether you need a machine for MIG, stick, or TIG in the home shop or your small business, or maybe you need a multi-process machine, a plasma cutter, or even a generator, Everlast has it all. One thing I highly recommend checking out while you're over there on the website is the all-new Storm 215C, which is a stick, MIG, and plasma cutter all in one unit. Now it's priced at $1,300. This machine has it all. 200 amps of MIG, 160 amps of stick capabilities, 40 amps of plasma cutting, an easy-to-read LED screen, 35% duty cycle of max output, dual voltage so you can plug it into 120 or 240, and it's spool gun capable. You're going to want to take advantage of this awesome deal before the prices go up, so get your pre-order in now. And make sure to use code word ARCJunkies in the comment section at checkout when you buy any machine that comes with a stock foot pedal, and get that free Nova foot pedal and TIG Torch upgrade only at everlastwelders.com. Everlast Welders. Weld mean, weld green. We're also brought to you by Rockmount Research and Alloys. They just released 2 more awesome products to help you get the job done right the first time, every time. The all-new Polaris 18 meets and exceeds the AWS A5.1 specifications as an extra low hydrogen electrode with smooth running arc characteristics, and it's super easy to restrike and boasts an 82,000 psi of tensile strength with 37% elongation. The Polaris 18 is great for fabrication welding and is ideal for repair and joining of construction-grade steel, or for fabrication and repair of cold-rolled steel, mild steel, low alloy steel, and hot-rolled steel. They also just released the new Prep Shine and Polish interleaved flap disc, which combines flexible abrasive material with surface conditioning flaps to create a time-saving disc that grinds and finishes in a single step. This thing's available in a 60 grit coarse finish with and without a 5/8 11 nut for attaching straight to the arbor grinder. I've been using this wheel to process test plates to blend the roots and faces of the welds before performing a bend test, and it's made my life so much easier not having to switch back and forth between two different types of wheels to get the job done. This is just one more way Rockmount is helping you get the job done right the first time, every time. Check them out today at rockmountwelding.com. And don't forget, you can order Rockmount electrodes right now through mscdirect.com and get free shipping right to your door. We're also brought to you by my friends over at Outlaw Leather USA, makers of the finest custom welding hoods in the game. Check them out today at outlawleatherusa.com. And right now, you can save 15% off all custom leather goods by using code word ARCJunkies in the discount box at checkout. Whether it's a new hood, an arm brace, a knee pad, rod pouch, bolt bag, or anything else that's custom leather, you can save 15%. And be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Outlaw Leather USA. All right, you know what time it is. Fire up your machines, drop your hood, and turn me up 5.
You're listening to the ARC Junkies Podcast. Helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. And now your host, Jason Becker.
All right, Bob Moffatt, how the hell you been?
I'm good, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I had an awesome time there at the Excel Strategies welding competition here in Dallas, Georgia.
That's phenomenal. Honored to be selected, but the opportunity to come down and kind of see what's going on with this group is intriguing.
It's pretty impressive. I mean, they've I guess they started off down there in Florida, West Coast area, Southwest Coast.
Was that the reference to the South Pines venue site? Is that what that was?
I think so. They started off, I can't remember exactly what city they started in, but then they went to South Georgia, and now they're migrating up to Northwest Georgia, and I think they're trying to also migrate into Northeast Georgia.
I was trying to look up a little history yesterday. I didn't want to be completely illiterate when I came down, and I wanted to get some background on it, and I was kind of screwing through the phone on and looking them up. Osage County sheriffs frown on you coming up behind them at 100 mile an hour when you're looking stuff up. So, you know, they don't have a sense of humor for that, but I got an education on Excel. Almost cost me a ticket there, but what else? How long have they been around?
I'm not exactly sure, but I know they reached out to me a couple months ago and they said, hey, you know, we're looking at doing a welding competition. You know, we want to know if you'd like to be a judge. And like the first thing I did is I was like, you know, who are these people? Are they credible? You know, because you get a lot of spam DMs and stuff like that, and that's kind of how they reached out to me was through an email. And since I set up the new email account, you know, I get a bunch of random junk. So I started doing some research, and I mean, they're kind of on a mission to, you know, promote the trades, and like any chance, you know, I get to get in front of, you know, young men and women to promote the fabulous world of welding, you know, I'm all about it.
Yeah, mine came through Instagram direct message, and I know I'd seen this name before. I haven't been keeping up so much, and I that's bad, but I've been kind of busy.
Right.
But I get this request like, would you be interested in being at this event? And my question back was, at what capacity?
Mm-hmm.
And it said possible judge, possible speaker, whatever. I wrote back, I said, I consider them to be linked. I want to do both. If you
right.
If you got me down here, you might as well. I said, I'll be available in the background, side-by-side groups, individuals, one-on-ones, whatever it takes. I'd like to, you know, we did an opening message, and he introduced us, and I guess they've been watching us.
Yeah.
You know, a little, and that's humbling. And I miss saying that today. You know, we wouldn't have been put in that arena unless it was for them or because of them, the fans and whatnot. It's humbling. I don't look for that, but man, when it's said, it's kind of a gut wrenching. I don't do the praise. I just keep reminding them. I got into it for you to help you if I could. So yeah, good group of kids. We had some fun. We had some laughs. I learned some stuff today. I want to put one in myself. I want to put
a competition together.
Put a piece together. I've been doing octagons and stuff, shapes for a while.
Oh, you want to build a fire pit? That was kind of the competition today. Is they had I guess they sent out all the competition rules, and if you wanted to enter, you could enter a team of students to build a fire pit or like a cooking device, like a cowboy cooker is what they called it.
Cowboy cooker.
And they gave them some dimensions and some parameters that they had to follow, and for the most part, everybody stayed within the parameters. And I mean, there was 8 amazing different cookers. And it was really cool to see, the talent.
Similar designs, but even in the ones that were similar, they got off. One of them had a spit. One of them was kind of short and squatty and looked serious, all cooking, no body,
Right.
Another one was 3-tiered. I mean, they had some multi-level jobs in that, so they had some vision in there.
Yeah.
When I came back from Alaska, I was interested in doing a grill or a smoker. I was wanting to do it as a business, make some extra money, and I read some books. And the books were by these guys that lived above the Arctic Circle to survive. They had to build their stoves out of what they could find, and it was tundra daisies, we call them, 55-gallon drums, 10 snips, and a hammer. Well, if you didn't build it right, you're going to suffer, right? So the whole theory about how to bank a fire and make it breathe, be able to cook on it, leave your cabin, still have the fire going, and come back. And I kind of figured it out. I want to do these pipes. I don't want to be like everybody else, so I never put a stack on them. I use vent caps, the centers of grinding discs. That's a 5/8 11 arbor thread, right?
Right.
I use 9/16 by 11 bolts. It's sloppy enough that it always centered up. I didn't have to worry about hitting dead center and all that. It was off a little bit. It's still seal. So it was a guess of a ratio, like a 16-inch diameter pipe. I made 24 to 28, I think. 28 was stretching it, but 5 vents in the tube 16 and below. 2 on bottom, 2 on top, and the ends. 1 on top of the fire, above the fire in the middle. Everybody look at it and say, why you do that? Well, I can grill and smoke on just how you build the fire. Get your coals going. You can put some wood chips on there. If you want to smoke a bird or something, you can get it up to get it rolling and throw your smoking wood on there. Close the bottom vents. Open the top one above, or the middle one above the fire. It sits there and just breathes. Air comes in on top of it. I always had to guess. I didn't have any thermometers back in those days. The Ashcroft 50 to 550, that's a good one for cooking. Somebody laid some of those on me in the refinery one day. They were changing out, and I had always guessed how to operate them by, if I could lay my hand on it for 5 seconds until I got uncomfortable. I always figured that was around 220-something degrees, right around there.
That's about where you want it.
Well, I didn't know for sure, but I'm thinking, yeah, a judge of heat, whatnot. And I always took a pop can, beer can. I might have been drinking beer back in the. I'm joking. I always cut it in half and fill it full of water, liquid, or something, and always put it somewhere back in that grill area.
Yeah.
Well, at 220,
a little moist in there.
Yeah, it's 220. You're vaporizing and creating that moisture. And I did that for the longest time, and then somebody laid those thermometers on me, 50 to 550, and I cut a collar in half and used it as a half collar. Yeah, that's what it was, half collar. Threaded that thermometer in there. Guess what? I put my hand on there for 5 seconds, and I looked at that thermometer. It was
220.
Right about it. Yeah, I thought, wow, that's odd, but it worked out. And I did start putting some stacks on them, but I didn't feel comfortable doing it. The only reason I put one on there was to maybe put a football logo for tailgating. Somebody ordered one and they wanted OU on it. That's really That's really why I put it on there.
So what was your favorite grill of the day? What do you think?
Man, I tell you, that was a tough one.
It was a tough
You and I
decision.
argued about one of them, and you guys convinced me too. Oh, wait a minute, I convinced you guys about the.
You convinced us that we were right.
Yeah, that's what it was. Exactly. That's what it was. Yeah. It was enclosed. It looked like the old time Tombstone Lincoln.
Yeah. That was
buzz box machine. Yeah.
That got me in the feels a little bit, you know.
We came to that conclusion because of rain.
Rain and the size of the pigeons in Ark City, Kansas.
That's right. That's what it was. But I was really impressed with the other ones because it was clean and multi-tiered, and it was a clean machine. It was a toss-up. It was a good argument. I'm glad I lost. Dang it.
Then they also I thought it was really cool because they had more things going than just the team build. So the team build was really cool, but they also had the best T-joint over at the Fronius booth, and then they had the best flat weld over at ESOB. And then with Kimmeline, they had the best cut where the competitors had to cut a single bevel and a straight edge.
That's what I wanted to do today.
I wanted to get a chance to get over there.
I wanted to get over and do that too. I've been Sam Hackman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got the old long Victor 1600 torch. He said he bought one when he really likes it. That's what he grew up with. Mm-hmm. He's very comfortable with that. I myself grew up with the Journeyman Super Range type
combination torch,
and the 1600 is a long tube, dedicated cutting, pure cutting.
That's my go-to torch.
Well, I found 3 of them resting comfortably upstairs in the mezzanine. They've been up there. Jason, I've been at this institution 25 years. They haven't been touched. Trust me, they haven't seen daylight in 25 years. I took them down.
Knock the cobwebs off them.
Oh no, yeah, little dust and cobwebs, to the point where they were constricted flow. I had to take them in and get them rebuilt. There's a weird valve on one of them, that the trigger mechanism. It's a brass tube looking thing. It's got a little bitty, I don't want to say tit on your podcast, but I'm going to say tit.
Well, you just did. So.
I'm sorry. I said it twice.
It's
a little BB looking thing, and it had broken off. And the guy said, "Can you fix that?" And at first I said, "Man, I put something on there and file it back down." Hell no, I went and fixed it. I got my smallest third hand, and I fluxed it with silver solder paste before I ever put it up there. And it didn't take very much at all. You could barely see it. And I heated it and fixed it. I had the smallest flame I had on the tip that I had. What I should have done it was with a Bic lighter. Mm-hmm. I fixed it, but I roasted that tube. I melted the tube. I didn't see it. I was only on it for 1 second, too dang long. And I took it, showed it to him, and I said, "Man, we're going to have to start over. I get the machine shop to spin out a piece of brass." He goes, "I found that particular part, but we can't find some of the others." Who in this country has got torch parts?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Torches laying around. Somebody gave me a torch. It's a Craftsman. It says it's stamped with NYFD.
Holy crap!
Oh yeah, it's old.
Yeah, don't use that for parts, Bob.
Well, no. What I was going to do is polish it and clean it. And I had somebody say, "Do not polish that. You will not like it. It's not the same. You got to leave that red patina looking stuff on there." But what's cool about this torch is, and I think it's an ox weld that I found. It's real close to that 1600 design. Something you can do with the lever. Mm-hmm. You depress it, and you can kind of slide it to the side, not slide it down, but pivot it to the side, and it locks itself down. You don't have to hang on it the same way. It's always cutting.
Right.
And I thought, God, that's like driving an old 1958 Buick. It's got features in that car that you don't see in modern cars these days, like the Sentry and the automatic headlight dimmer and all that stuff. It's like, God dang it, they made some cool stuff back in the day.
That's kind of like switching over to the 4T or the trigger lock function on your MIG gun.
Yep.
Exactly. And I get a bunch of, I don't know if you show your students the same thing, but like I'll show all my students. Some of them hate it and some of them love it. And I can always walk in the booth, especially when we switch over to gas metal arc welding or flux core, and show them, hey, look, there's a trigger lock function. You pull the trigger and then let it go, and it's going to continuously wire feed till you pull the trigger and let it go again. And I show that to a lot of students because they start choking that MIG gun like it owes them money. and they squeeze on it so hard.
Yeah.
They get the death grip on there, and then they, their hands shaking involuntarily, and it's like, look, you don't have to squeeze that trigger. It's just a little button, just light little press and let it go. But it's the same thing on the torch. And going back to the torch, I'm a big fan of the 1600 because I did structural steel iron work for a long time. Yeah. And I hold that thing just like I would shoot pool, like a little mini game of pool. And I've got so much control. Whereas with the combo torch, is you only got like a 4-inch neck to kind of roll around and play with. And
yeah, but I'm one-handed.
Yeah.
Because I always rest. Somebody taught me a long time ago to cut with a burn bar. And I have one machined, and I keep that baby filed and oiled. I mean, it slides good. It's funny you say that. I've seen so many people cut extremely well by sliding that through their fingers.
Yeah, just like a pool cue.
You can't do that if you have a tight grip on it. To me, it's like sports of anything. You can't move fluid. You can't be consistent. If I put a grip on something, I'm shaking like a chihuahua pooping peach seeds.
Peach seeds,
nothing good's going to come of it. It's going to shake like crazy. When you mentioned 4T, two things became funny to me back in the old days of building like Vibra-sized trucks. It's all spray, heavy welding. And we had the Miller machines that had the trigger thing. You walk by and bump it once, and it's going, Don't leave your machine running during break time. Just don't do that, because your little smart aleck buddies are going to come by and they'll bump that trigger. When you come back for break, your wires all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing that was funny was recently, it's a little humid where we're at down there. And I'm building stuff. I have this baby positioner, and I was dumb enough to put it across the table and mount it. And I've been doing these braided hammer handles. I take a really good hammer, and I love it, but the handle is not going to last forever. I can soak it so many times, and it splits and gives up. But I'm going to save the head because I like the head, I like the feel, and I've been doing these braided, take 4 rods per se and put them and start them and braid them. And I'm trying to finish this thing out, and I put one of those big loader lug nuts on the end of it. It's not going to slip off your hand in your wet glove or something, but I'm leaning out across the table. The ESOB machine has pure high frequency. My belly knows it. I got shocked so many times. And so what I was wanting to do is, why can't I go to 4T on an ESOB like a 205? Why can't I do that? Well, you can. There's a trick to it. But I ain't going to tell you.
Okay.
No, I got a hold of Ryan Dillon down in, or maybe it was John Minge. God bless them both. And anyway, there's a problem, and I want to solve it. And what you have to do is, since you have the foot pedal on, the 4T does not like variable. It doesn't like that at all. It likes the contactor. That's what it's.
Yeah, it's just on or off.
Okay. So take that wire off and put the wire to the MIG gun on and bump the trigger. You now have 4T TIG. Your torch is hooked up. Your TIG torch is hooked up, but you're using the contactor to the MIG gun. That's what it knows. I guess you're not going to have any. You're not going to have any variable amperage. You just got that contactor.
Right.
But you can't use the foot pedal as just a contactor. It's always going to have that rheostat effect to the machine. That's what it's reading. So anyway, now you know.
Huh.
Or at least my belly is relieved, because I seriously shocked the crap out of myself so many times. The white packaging material that comes with the ESOB machines and some of the others, I shaved that stuff nice and thin. I put it on a 1/4-inch plywood backer. I'm insulated somewhat.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Why is it I always find a bare amount of skin, like through my driver gloves or something in my work shirt, and I rest it against the table and my skin's wet?
Yeah. No,
I will find a way to shock the crap out of myself.
That's just like when you put your wire brush in your bolt bag or your tool bag and stuff, or your tool bucket. That's the first tool you're going to find every time you put your hand inside that bucket. Boom! There's a wire brush.
Wires feel good when they go right up your fingernail.
Right in that fingernail.
Oh
yeah.
Man, that is one sensation that kind of makes you flinch a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I met a gentleman today. I think we talked briefly in Chicago. Mr. Daryl Peterson.
Yeah.
What a stand-up guy. That is so
Awesome.
cool.
He's a very smart individual when it comes to
really?
code.
I didn't notice.
Yeah. Senior CWI. He's now the district director for District 5. Took over from Mr. Howard Record, who
needs to be.
Yeah.
Awesome
dude.
It was great to talk to him, and I think I spurred him a little bit there. He might be mad at me. We got conversation to follow up on, but
you might want to take some salt out of that wound.
No, he understands. He understands where I'm coming from.
Right.
But anyway,
the conversation that kind of led up to that is like your thoughts and opinions on CWI and like what type of experience you should have to become a CWI.
Jason, I mean, when I'm in the shop and I'm doing a tube sheet or something, the print clearly calls for a tiny weld around the end of a thin tube, the air handler type, air exchanger. And the inspector comes up, and I'm holding a TIG torch in my hand, and I have my foot on a pedal or whatever, and I have a length of filler wire in the other hand, and he looks at the welds, and he goes, God, you do some great-looking MIG welding. Well, thank you. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know?
I could see how you could have some thoughts and opinions on that one.
It's not – I have nothing against, someone doing their job and whatnot, but I really think it is somewhat dangerous I say detrimental.
Mm.
I've seen too many CWIs that it's like they want to bow their chest up and express some authority when there's no need to do so. That's really where I'm coming from. I've seen some good quality hands that they just get busted and knocked down when there's no need for it. What difference does it make if a 30-second of a root opening is there?
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt anything.
But
They wouldn't be able to tell the difference on a fit up if they're looking at an X-ray or something. Why would they make that call and look somebody out and say, "You're out of here"? That you gave yourself 532 when it should have been an eighth.
Yeah.
Well, come on, man.
You're
Let me weld on it
at that point.
Let me weld on it for 30 seconds and it'll shrink to an eighth. God, leave me alone.
Well, then again, depending on which code book you're operating in, I know D11. There's quite a bit of variable when it comes to your as fit up and as detailed drawings. But
tolerances.
there's
everything
built-in tolerances, everything.
Gee whiz, the bevel's plus or minus 2.5.
You get into D11. I mean, you can have anywhere from 0 to like minus 0 to like plus 10.
Yeah, I called you one day.
I
called you one day. We were doing open root with backer,
and open root with a backer. You got to pick one.
Well, I'm sorry, but I mean we're doing the bevel with the backing plate.
Right.
You can tell I didn't do a whole lot of them, but the problem was when we put this is all just LH all the way up, but we were noticing the thickness of the plate and the width of the opening we were using. God, if we could open that up just a little bit more, it would set up beautifully for the 2-bead or the 3-bead stringer cap uphill, 3G. And I called you and I said, man, what's the tolerances on that? Because I didn't use them that much. And you said, oh, okay, take that thing out to a 1/2 inch.
You can take it up to a 9/16.
Get out of here.
When you add the as fit up and as detailed.
That's like the canyon walking.
That is
like stepping across a canyon.
That is the BU2A joint
That's
designation in AWS D1.1 2020 edition. I believe that is section 6 this year. They changed it. Everything advanced 2 sections.
I didn't do a whole lot of that, and I knew that was kind of your forte and background. I called you, and you answered that, and I'm going, wow, that's going to help a bunch.
Yeah.
That's
a lot of space in there.
Feathered edge and a 1/4 inch on any kind of plate. It's going to come on. Let's go ahead and weld it. It's good.
I always run
but
to
when
a 5/16.
you get into the weld, it's not good because now you're cramped into an area where you can't comfortably do this cover pass. What are you going to do for a cover? Better look out if you intend to weave it too. That's a bad word.
Yeah. No, I always run a 5/16 root opening when I run 70/18 3/8 plate. In the 3G position. I figured the 5/16 gives me just enough room, because if you close down to that 1/4 inch, you really can't manipulate that rod as much as I'd like to and still tie into the bevel face. So I like to open up to about 5/16, and I get a little bit of wiggle room, and I can do that little U motion, and I tie right into the backer bar and the face of the bevels, which it's knife edge. But you tie right into the face of the bevel, and that sets you up perfectly for a 3-bead cap once you're done.
You do a U motion?
I do like a tiny little U.
And I do I do pretty much a straight across, but here lately, I've been doing a very subtle tuck on each side, especially on the outside. When for me, that has, yeah, I mean, it's subtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's
very slight.
To me, it's like that TikTok thing that's how I learned to weld. I had to do some kind of motion. I couldn't just do a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. I can't do that. I have to do something where I've got just a very subtle stitch. But I notice on some materials, when you get done with it and you brush it, you're going, why is that there? A little bit tiny shadow on you. It's humiliating. I don't like undercut, period.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed I was experimenting one day, almost like an eyebrow, but I come over the side and I just barely pull this down a little bit. And I keep doing that. And I noticed that it eliminated undercut, and it kind of blended the center better because it kind of kept it hot.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend of mine, when he welded LH, he shook it back and forth quickly. He would lower his amperage, but he would shake it back and forth quickly. I'm going, wow, that's dangerous, But, man, it's like he laid it in there, and the freeze lines were just so consistent all the way around. That's kind of some advanced skill. That's those subtle things. When you get underneath the hood and you know yourself and you know what's going to, you feel it and you go with it,
It's like when I do it, I typically, from what I've heard through YouTube comments, is I run my heat a little low, my amps a little low. But you also have to take into consideration that, I'm also traveling a little bit slower. Right. So that's going to increase your heat input.
When you said you do the 5/16 and it allows you to do what you're doing, my statement behind that to back it up is, to me, it's easier to slow down and adjust your feel and get what you want versus being forced into run fast to, take care of the weld, whatnot, leave room for it to fill in correctly. There's so many subtle things going on. It's reading the pool, being able to put it in there correctly, but reading the pool and making the adjustments on the fly.
Yeah. I look at it more as like a Sunday drive, than like the 5 o'clock 500, on the way home.
Right.
It's just that, I've got time to make adjustments. I can see what the puddle's doing. I can manipulate. I can speed up if I need to. I can slow down. I can manipulate a little bit more or a little bit less. I've got time to read that puddle and kind of just coach it along.
And how many people have you seen that they get done with the weld and they raise their hood and they're going, I should have done this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you should have. But when were you ever going to recognize it? When were you going to make the adjustment? After you got done, or what? Have vision prior to making the weld. You pull the trigger on something like a 1,000 amp rod, like you guys did. Don't you kind of got to know what's going to happen before you strike an arc?
You got to know your plan.
Flux core, metal cores. Those are some high deposition processes. Don't you think it'd be a good idea to know what's going to kind of happen beforehand?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I tell people. When I'm teaching welding, is you're the first pass. You're especially when we're talking multi-pass, whether it's on pipe, plate, fillet weld, groove weld, whatever. You're laying the foundation for your cap on that route, and then when you put your hot pass in, you're working that foundation, and then all your fill passes. You're setting yourself up for success. If you shit the bed on the root, what do you think your cap's going to look like?
What'd you say?
If you shit the bed on your root, I didn't stutter. You're skipping.
Harsh there.
It's a little harsh.
I got headphones on.
I got you.
The horizontal weld. Everybody hates that weld. Mm-hmm. That's why I nicknamed it the horrible zonal. Set yourself up. You're saying all the right words, but how do you set yourself up? What do you want right before the cap? A 16th.
I want
less.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to touch my beveled edge. I need those.
Yep.
I have to have those. And everybody kind of gets into them and they overfill this, underfill that, or they don't place the fill passes or even one pass. I like laying one pass these days, and some of I weave diagonally to make the laying
horizontal.
Straight. Yeah, and tuck at the top. Spend 2/3 of the time at the top, come down tight. If I see it going in clean, I'm okay. I don't like teaching it to some people because I think it's a little dangerous. I'd rather them run stringers, do the stringers hot, clean, consistent. We'll play with the advanced stuff later on. Don't weld like me.
That's where I learned that diagonal technique from was Abraham down there with South Coast Welding Academy. He does the weld tube videos. That guy is a.
Talk about his brother too, because that's fun. That's funny stuff.
I haven't seen his brother yet, but Abraham. We went down there. We did a video and everything. We did some flux core, and he says he does not like doing flux core because I guess that's what he did with his dad for a long time, and he hated that work. But damn, is he good at it? I mean, he just makes it look so smooth and clean. But he showed me that diagonal motion in a horizontal, and that's all I use now.
I started doing it on the field pass as a 6G.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to. You can run stringers. I love running stringers on a test. Don't get me wrong, but hey, I'll go ahead and pour it in there.
Yeah.
Just weave level with the floor.
Right.
And that's where that tuck thing came from with when I do on my 3G uphill. It's just, I mean, it's reading the puddle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back in those days when I was building those smokers and grills and stuff, it was if I could find a good piece of 1/4-inch pipe or 3/16 wall or something. I like working with that. That was fun. Cut the end cap and fit it corner to corner. Well, I didn't have much. My rolls were like furniture leg rolls or whatever on a piece of angle iron. I'm physically rolling it. My ground was stuck to a round rod welded on the other end. I'm taking 60-10 and doing a downhill like figure 8 lace, and I'm doing it by I would go high on the side, come down, fill the center a little bit, and then go high over here, but lower. So I was like making a figure 8 cat paw look all the way down this pipe. Hit it with a wire wheel. And it's good. Trust me, it'll cook.
Mm.
It was, some of those rods. Yeah, you remember the old gas API guys that are doing the piping in the old days on distribution gas lines?
I don't believe I was around.
Oh, man. Well, I was.
Right.
You can still find them every now and then. There's a big old wide lacy looking weld. There's some that look like they're about this 1.25 inches, and they just look like individual stripes going around.
I was gonna say that's pretty much a horizontal
it's the weirdest
weld
thing you've ever seen. They hold gas, but
there's not a lot.
You
of
don't want
to
get caught doing that these days.
No.
But they were around, and some of those guys could lay in a big old figure 8. I mean, they had to be goofing around. I don't know, but somebody figured that out one time. It's like the weld is stacked up like a 3/32. Every bead looks like an individual strike, and it comes down, and then they blend it get together with another one, or they run continuous. I don't know, but I've seen people comment on them. There was one out back of our shop on a header deal that the Kansas Gas had, and I think I shot a picture of it one day. Man, it's controversial. You ever put a picture out like that you found one of those welds? Mm-hmm. Sit back and watch the comments. I scum for the comments. They get pretty heady at times, and it's still respectful. I mean, there is some respect for it, but I'm telling you, it's pure old school. These days, it's better get some stringers around there a couple times and get it going. And
now, do they primarily? Because I don't do. Obviously, I mean, as you know, I don't do a whole lot of O-beam. You guys call it pipe, right?
I like that when you and Brian got together. I was cracking up, man. That guy seems like a hoot.
He's a trip, man. I love hanging out with him, but it sucks because
you two seem like you guys could.
He's an hour and a half away, at least. So I never really get to see him because he's so damn far away.
Yeah.
But no, he's a trip, and he's background union pipe fitter, and I'm background union iron worker. So when we get together, man, it's just like being back on the job site.
It's on, yeah.
And the camera guy, he's like half the stuff we film we can't use, because it's not safe for TV.
Unfortunate, yeah.
But no, I've always had a good time with Brian. He's a funny dude, but he's extremely smart, and I mean he knows his stuff when it comes to the O-beam.
Just by watching the vids there, and he's dogging on you that way. That's why I liked it.
Yeah,
he got a hold of you, and he wasn't backing off.
No.
I like that sense of humor. I mean, he seems jovial and knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Abraham and his. You ever seen his brother?
Well,
you need to look up video. His brother does a. They both did this video together. It's like it's a 2G TIG root.
Okay.
And I mean, he tells you what to look for in the pool, but he's like moving this thing. It's moving it on. He's shaking it fast, and he's not messing around. He's getting it in there. I know I commented on it, and I said, "Abraham, you better watch your job, man. Brother's got some skills." And it was pretty impressive to watch. Anybody that can lay something in there, make it fuse correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody hates horizontal because it's out there in the open. It's your signature.
Right.
That's why everybody hates that cap. If you miss a little bit, man, you're looking at your wavy line.
Yeah, if you throw that first pass off, you're done at that point.
When I put my first pass down on a horizontal cap, my objective is to burn that bottom lip out of the bevel and establish my reinforcement, my height above the parent metal.
Right.
And then if that goes in there straight, then all I got to do is aim for the middle of the bottom of every weld should fit the highest point of your previous weld.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the last one, don't leave any undercut. You know, I've seen guys, I know they're highly capable. They're not running straight lines yet. And you let's take a piece of 4-inch schedule 80. Well, you know how wide that weld's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 5/8, 3/4. Why does it have 7 passes on it and it's 1.5 inches wide?
Because they're covering up undercut.
Well, they keep chasing
pass.
undercut.
Yeah.
You know, you chase it all day long. Pretty soon you'll be at the end of the coupon.
Right.
The coupon be up there at the top somewhere. We'll see you at Christmas time still chasing undercut.
Yeah.
Stop that, you know. Be smooth.
I get students all the time. They're like, "Hey, can I throw another pass on there?" It's like, why would you're just putting passes on parent metal? You left the groove 2 passes ago. You don't need to put any more
soup on it.
Yeah, you don't need to put any more
something?
passes on there. The weld's a 1/2 inch to your left, bud.
Yeah. Direction of travel. I see people welding toward themselves. It makes no sense to me. Sometimes you absolutely have to.
Yeah, I've been in situations left-handed toward yourself and you get caught in a corner.
That hurts, you know. If you stay in stick welding, if you know, I'm left-handed a lot of times. I weld from right to left. I can see where I'm going, but I can also see my finished weld pool at the same time. And a lot of people, they don't look at the weld pool. I guess they're fascinated by the arc.
How can you not?
Well, because they're fascinated by the arc. They don't see the weld pool. You know, they leave all this stuff behind like they're welding uphill or something. What were you looking at? Weld pool. Well, then how come you didn't wait on this to fill in? You just left a big old pothole of undercut. Why would you do that? You can't be looking at the weld pool and do that.
Right.
You got to be looking ahead of the rod. There, you know where the rod is. You know, you'll control it, but
that's the funny thing is a lot of them, you know, they don't see it until, you know, we get into gas metal arc weldings. You know, so we'll start off with shielded metal arc welding, and they're like, oh yeah, I see the puddle, and then all of a sudden you get into gas metal arc welding, and they'll walk up, hey, Mr. Becker, I know exactly what you're talking about now. Like I can see the puddle.
I take them. I do that too because it's clean. There's nothing around. There's no
smoke. There's none of that.
Yeah, there's no
slag.
Nothing. That is a good method. Break it out and then do something different.
You throw them back on stick welding or shielded metal arc welding, and they're like, boom, it clicks. You know.
I know this is going to sound strange and odd, but a lot of people don't. They go through the motions, but they don't feel it yet.
Yep.
And I will go over and if it's a male, I say, I apologize. I got to do this. It's going to feel a little weird, but I want you to grab
awkward.
Yeah, I'm going to grab the top of the electrode holder. I want you to grab the bottom. I said, don't fight me. Relax. But I want you to feel this. And like running a root, you put enough pressure on it. You know, they're blowing it up. They're blowing holes. They're not directing the arc to establish the keel and not traveling. So you show them and they go, oh, God, I got it now. You know, they never felt it. They never felt the proper speed and pressure, which is really no pressure. It's just holding it down there close. And then, of course, when you do it with a female, you say the same thing. I'm sorry, I got to do this.
Yep.
You're not getting it. I want you to feel this. It's not like I'm coming into your booth and I want to hold your hand. I just want you to feel this. I've noticed that a lot. And then sometimes you do have to take them aside and do a MIG weld or something to get them so they can see the pool. And, you know, MIG welding, they want to look at the wire and they think, wow, that's cool, you know. Well, it's what the wire's doing to make the weld pool is what you need to look at.
Yeah. That's my instructor taught me back when I was going through welding school way back in mid-90s. That's how he showed me. He grabbed my hand and he showed me. He's like, this is what it should feel like. And then I got a buddy, Val Cazia. He works with the pipe fitters in Orlando. And, you know, he said the same thing. You know, like welding's all about feelings. And he's like a big burly pipe fitter guy. And he's like, welding's all about feelings. You got to be able to feel what that electrode is doing in your hand. And until they experience that, they're putting too much weight on there. You know, they're traveling too fast. They're not tying in properly. And until you grab and slow them down and say, okay, just put your hand on top of mine. you know, with the stinger, and you just kind of walk through, and they're like, oh,
Yeah, you can't force it.
No,
to
it's
happen.
a finesse thing.
And there's processes that don't, TIG.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have an arc force. You can't force it to go in there. It's all technique and prep and all that kind of stuff. Why is it the great big guys always make the smoothest welders?
I ain't figured out that.
I mean, you take some hoghead, and I mean, they could put stuff in there just make you cry. Mm-hmm. They have such a delicate, subtle touch, and they put stuff in there that looks like a robot on alloys.
That young gentleman you were talking about today, Mr. Washington.
Rashad.
Yeah, Rashad Washington.
Hilarious.
He's
about stuff that comes full circle. That was an odd occurrence.
Right. He rolled in there today, and he's looking around. Okay, you got stick going on over here. You got flux core going on in the trailer. He's like, where's the TIG at, man? And I walked up to him because apparently I was talking to his welding instructor, and he's like, Rashad is like, he's just obsessed over Bob Moffatt. He got to meet him up in Fab Tech. Loves the dude, respects him. They've done several Zoom calls. Bob answers all of his DMs, this, that, and everything.
I try to.
So as soon as this young man walks up, and I say young man, but I mean he's big enough to hunt bear with a stick.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
he's a big dude.
Me and you put together at least.
Yeah, he walks up, and I said, "You were shot?" Yes, sir. And when I reached out and shook his hand, I said, "Bob Moffatt says you're a hell of a TIG welder," and his eyes just lit right up, man.
Oh yeah, I looked at his stuff. He got a hold of me. He goes, I don't know nothing about stick pipe, I said, well, what have you been doing? Where you at? What's your location? Went on. He goes, I talked to you briefly. I'm in the Atlanta area, and at the time, God, what is his Instagram handle? It's something.
I'd have to pull it up. Just carry on the story. I'll do some background.
Anyway, I looked at his work. I'm going, crap, man, this guy can lay down some stainless TIG. Man, this is impressive. But he wants to learn stick. And I'm thinking to myself, I got this, and I hooked him up on a Zoom meeting. And it's funny because I could tell he's a big guy. Mm-hmm. He's a big guy. And so I got everything prepared out in the shop, and I'm getting ready to pull the trigger, and I called him up, and I said, man, are you ready? You want to do this? Yeah, this is a Saturday. And it's what I do. If somebody calls and they're curious about something, I'll mock it up for them in my shop. And I got a hold of him, and I can see him. He's like he's in the kitchen eating shrimp. It's Saturday morning, and I'm going, God dang, got this shrimp out. I don't have nothing. I'm starving, And I start this weld. I think I might have run part of the route with the first rod. I look up. He's laying down in bed. And I come on. I said, oh, hell, get your Happy Meal butt off the bed. Come on, we're welding today. We got to learn stuff. I chewed on him, but we were laughing. It was just funny. And then he taught with this group. He was part of this group for a while, and when I said I was going to come down here, he going to pick me up at the airport last night. And I was like, God, this is going to be. We're going to get arrested for laughing. I'm going to be crying laughing. This is good. He's a great guy. He seems to be. He's asking questions even today. Last night he was sweating the test that he's supposed to take this morning, and his question was about getting that reinforcement in on the bottom where you're maybe you have a crappy fit and you can't put the rod to the inside, which is what I like to do because, trying to get that reinforcement down there and you're forced to weld it from the top. You can't get below it because of insulation or wall or something. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I said, if you can't put the wire from the inside, then put it on the outside, but roll it in your fingers so that it doesn't get stuck. Well, that hit him right there. Everybody gets stuck. Well, if you roll it, you're at your right amperage, and it's not going to get, whatever it does. Let me ask you this. How can you be welding on aluminum and it feels like a magnet just hit your wire and it sticks in the groove? Well, why is that?
Your travel angle's off on your torch.
It's what?
Your travel angle's off on your torch.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
So
next you're going to tell me
just to throw this out, hold on. It's Slick Welding LLC. Go give them a follow on Instagram.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're going through, same thing on stainless, it feels, that rod starts sticking.
Right.
So that means that with gas tungsten arc welding, you want to keep your filler metal and your TIG torch at all times at a 90-degree angle, perpendicular to one another. If it's too far,
is it magnet or something? Because I mean, it's
really.
Surface tension or
if you have an acute angle, meaning less than 90 degrees, your electrode or your filler metal is going to stick to that plate because you're not getting the appropriate heat out in front of the puddle. And if you have an obtuse angle,
but I like putting the wire on the leading edge of the puddle.
You can, but you just got to make sure that you've got that 90-degree angle because if it's too tight, it's going to stick to that weld metal.
Why is it I'm at the end of my career and you're just now telling me this?
Well, hold on, because I'm gonna
by
blast
the way,
you.
I forgot to bring you something.
What's that?
Huh. I ain't gonna tell you now. I forgot to bring it.
Okay. But if your angle's obtuse, meaning 90 degrees or greater, you ever weld along and all of a sudden your filler metal's starting to like just drip off before you can get it into the puddle?
Right.
It's because your angle's too far out.
I got you.
It's obtuse.
Aluminum will do that too because it's hitting the arc.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be fast and accurate with aluminum. So.
Yep.
There was the guy that I did that collaboration with that did the cast iron, oxyacetylene cast iron, welded with cast iron filler wire and eutectic. His dad was down here in Florida in the olden days and figured out how to weld anodized aluminum. Now, where do they use that down here in Florida?
Everywhere.
All your marine,
all the marine grade tuna towers, all that.
This guy, and we're talking
all
old
up and down the coast.
We're not talking about an inverter. We're talking about an old ABP 330 or some monster dinosaur machine, straight 60 hertz. And he figured it out. You got to be fast like a rabbit. You got to hit that pool, put the wire in it, get it back out of there before that crap gets up on your tungsten.
Mm-hmm.
Which, when we're talking very short time, I have some of that stuff in my shop. Tried to weld it one time. It looked like a third grader on acid. It was horrible. It was bad.
As who does really good anodized aluminum work is Stephanie Hoffman.
Oh yeah,
Underground Metalworks. She built. She kind of like made a living for herself for a long time with anodized aluminum, doing tuna towers up in Jersey along the Jersey Shore and stuff like that.
Fascinating.
So if I've got questions on anodized aluminum, that is my go-to.
There you go.
I got her on speed dial.
You bet. That unique. Some people just excel. They have a knack for it.
Yeah.
They think
they figure out what that little trick is.
Yeah. Again, that gets back to the subtleties.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting information you just said about the angles and stuff. It makes sense. I can admit I haven't been paying attention that much to it, but I mean, you get a weld going and then you're in some position, but goddamn, I'm telling you, when that filler wire gets stuck, it's like, why?
Yeah.
And it's humiliating. It's like, I thought I owned this weld, but no, apparently I don't.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
No. I just got burned, No, what I was going to bring you was it's a cool layout tool. I mean, all my career, you're going to do something in a circle and you got to hit some angle. I always had to get the crow's foot out and another square, do something with a protractor or something. But this is like it's a protractor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a protractor inside a protractor. It's a spinning circle.
Now you've got me intrigued.
Look, dude, I'm telling you, this is so weird. I was in Hobby Lobby looking for copper sheets, little thin copper sheets. And I was goofing around, and I looked at something. I'm going, what the hell? I had French curves and drafting tools. I took drafting design. My dad went through University of Texas at petroleum engineering and stuff. He did all his math with a slide rule, trig and thermal dynamics, which that's not what they called it. Anyway, they had all this Kufel and Esser and all these instrument stuff. That I looked down and I looked at this item and I'm going, nah, surely not.
Don't call me Shirley.
It's about $5. It's so simple. It's been around since 1877. Look, it's called a helix. And if your circle in front of you, you got 0 at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a reference line in there. And if you want to go 37 degrees or 62 or 105, make your reference line, spin that thing around there, and there you go. There's your other mark. Just did it instantly without doing anything else other than spinning that circle. Put your pencil in the mark and put it in there.
I got to see this thing.
Why did I see it at the end of my career?
Right. Well, it's like I'm only halfway through. I mean, I'm gonna have to go. I got a Hobby Lobby right there in town. I'm gonna have to
go
swing
look,
by
ask
there.
for it, and if they don't have it, I'll mail you one.
Okay.
I thought, and I told the guy, I said, dude, well, why? Why does this happen when at the end of my career?
Yeah. I'm
about to croak, and I just found the coolest tool in my life right here.
I brought something I've been meaning to mail you for a while. Is that you're because
am I going to be able to get through the airport with it, or am I going to be up against the wall with a baton there?
Well, it depends. You can consume it before you get on your flight, or it's. I brought you some couple of liquid IVs. You were talking about. I mean, down there, you guys get pretty hot and heavy down there in Kansas. Do a lot of sweating and stuff.
Yeah. I recently I don't think they're the brand. They're kind of the same concept. You drink one and you retain water. Is that what it is?
It's like what they call it, cellular transport technology or something like that. It's you put this
liquid
stuff in
IV.
Yeah, it's called a liquid IV. You dump it in a 16-ounce bottle of water, and it's the equivalent of 2.5 bottles of water when you drink it. Because it's got all the minerals and nutrients and all this crap.
Well, that's the big part of it. Right.
I had a buddy. He's into sports medicine, and we went on this hunting trip and everything. And it's like, well, it was before hunting. We're out here in the middle of North Florida setting up tree stands in the middle of July. And I don't know if you've ever been in Florida in July, but it is.
Oh, that's like being in an oven and roast.
It's moist. Yeah. We're just going to use that term. It's very moist.
Were you aromatic at the end of the day?
Extremely.
Yeah.
But he was saying, like you can, Gatorade, water, I mean, all that stuff's good for you. But he stumbled across this liquid IV, and that's where I heard about it first. Well, I'll tell you, I've been using it.
They didn't give you that in the Marine Corps?
Hell no. We barely got. I mean, no, we got water and everything, but like everything we got was government issue, so it's always subpar equipment. I always laugh, like people, like this cell phone case or this iPad case or this this whatever accessory is. It's military grade.
Oh,
and as soon as I see military grade on there, I steer way the hell away from that shit because I've never had so much equipment let me down when I needed it the most in my life as when I was in the military.
Here's something. You can go look for a pistol holster, a belt. Look for a belt, okay? If you look for a gun belt, you find it for about $75, $80. If you look for a tool belt, you'll find it for about $12, $15.
Yeah.
It is the exact same
damn
belt.
thing.
The same webbing, the same clasp, the same everything. It's just different. Too many people take their body for granted, I think. And I don't, but you do what you do. And I beat myself up when Michael and I were moving. It was right around 4th of July, end of July. I was drinking a lot of water, Jason. Trust me, I was drinking a lot of water.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently I was pissing out all the good stuff. I'm sweating. It got to the point where I was going to cramps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was getting in a U-Haul. Number one is midnight, and you can hear me walking because I am literally soaking wet. I'm wearing some
squishy.
Oh, God, it's bad. Anyway, I was crawling up in the U-Haul, and I set my foot on the step and immediately went into a foot cramp. I mean, and so I'm laying across. I never made it up in the truck. I was kind of like laying halfway across the seat, and I'm squealing like a little. Anyway, Michael comes over and he goes, you okay, Dad? I said, really, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And just muscle aches from sweating that much and dehydrated. I hated it. And two things kind of got me by. One of them was we'll talk products here in a minute because of that. I mean, you mentioned the hydration and the electrolytes and all that. You can drink too much of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
my brother did. Man, he's like choking down. I don't want to say this, but it was the Gatorade type drink, or whatever. He's eating it big time, just choking that stuff down, racing motorcycles and doing stuff over in Arkansas. And kidney stones will make you double over.
Oh yeah,
and that's what he did.
Get too much salt in there.
And some people are susceptible to them. He said it was enough to make you vomit, and they go to the hospital, and it's like having childbirth, I guess,
Yeah, that's back when
brutal.
I was doing structural steel iron work, and like up there, or down there in Florida when you're up on the roof, it can get, even though it's 100 degrees outside, it can get 150 degrees up on that roof.
Oh yeah, easy. Or being down on a field.
Yeah. So I went home one night, just like any other night, drank enough water and all the like sports drinks and stuff like that. Go home and lay in a bed, and all of a sudden, I was probably like 24, 25 at the time. I was a young buck, and I can hear my heartbeat in my ear.
Oh.
And it's not normal. It's like thump, thump, thump. And it's just weird and sporadic. So I told my wife, I sat up and I was like, man, I don't feel good.
It feel like somebody kicked you in the scrotum or something? Or
more like in the chest. I laid back down and I was like, I wasn't sure, I started hearing it again and I was like, that's weird. Like, you think of a heartbeat, like it should have a rhythm to it.
Oh, yeah.
And this thing, it was like, I had like four out of 6 cylinders firing off. So I told my wife, I said, man, I don't feel good. And then all of a sudden my left arm starts I'm getting like a twitch in my left arm. And I was like, oh, shit, this isn't cool.
Are you stroking off her? I mean, you getting ready
stroking
to have
out, not stroking off.
You getting ready to have a heart attack or what?
Yeah, so, and I'm like, what the hell? This is not. And I'm not one to go see the doctors because, like, when I was in the military, I mean, that was like the biggest thing is you don't go see the doc, because everybody else in the platoon is going to ride you. Yeah. So I was like, all right, screw this. I'm going to go to the emergency room. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I go to the emergency room and I was like, yeah, I'm having like this weird erratic heartbeat and like, this, that, and the other thing. I said, my arm feels weird. Yeah, exact. Cold sweats. I got all these different symptoms. I go in there, they do EKG, they do a stress test, they do this, that, and the other thing. Like, I'm there all the way through the next morning. Find about like 7 o'clock in the morning, the doctor walks in. He goes, Mr. Becker, do you by any chance work outside? I said, holy shit, this guy's been reading my mail.
This guy's good, yeah.
Yeah, this guy's good, right? He's like, you have a potassium deficiency. I was like, okay, so what do I need to do? Like, you eat bananas? He's like, yeah, eat bananas, take a potassium supplement. He says, it looks like you're taking in enough sodium, while you're working, but you're not pulling in enough potassium. So,
what was he doing, looking at your piss test or something? Or?
He's looking at something. I don't know. I gave him all kinds of fluid samples that evening.
Oh, there you go.
But, yeah, apparently, like, if you're working outside, you're sweating a lot, you need potassium, magnesium, and sodium. And so that's why sports drinks are so good, but they just don't have enough potassium in them. So I switched over and took a potassium supplement every day and a magnesium supplement, and ever since then it's been fine.
I took that for granted, and somebody told me about the potassium. I took a couple of them, and they said, no, hell no, you need double up, dude. Yeah. You're deficient. You need double up for.
Yeah, I mean, if you're putting out that much water, if you're sweating out that much, if you're working outside, whether it's field work, pipeline, structural steel, iron work, you're working in a shop, they don't have air conditioning. You need those minerals to keep you going.
That's internal.
Mm-hmm.
That's internal. I see people don't take care of the feet.
Oh, that's a huge, dude. They harped on us like the whole time.
If you don't take care of your feet, you ain't going anywhere. You better respect the feet.
Them are your go-fasters, man.
Well, yeah. Take care of your eyes. If you can't see, you ain't going anywhere. You can't see where you're going. You can't do the work we do, take things for granted. I was fortunate enough to, and there's all kinds of great boot designs, and I've worn some great ones. I've worn some custom ones. When I was millwrighting in Oregon, everybody wore the white custom boots. Looked like the old granny sole. It was, God, you talk about comfortable. I mean, they broke them into your feet. They were, you had them on and they were broke into your feet. It's like a beautiful feeling,
Mm-hmm. It's like your feet are, it's like you're walking on a cloud.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Brunt work boots has kind of got behind some of the influencers. By the way, everybody's an influencer.
Oh, everybody.
So I haven't been busy pushing too much. I've been doing these renovations, and I was trying to get things done where I could relax and be proactive and really put some strong content out and have a positive last school year. And I'm still going to do it at some day, maybe one day out of this whole school year. I'll call it it's a good day. But anyway, you get products that come along, people stand behind you, but Brunt came along and had some sets of boots, and they go, if you're doing this, I said, man, I want some, and I'll wear them religiously to know them. I got to get to know a product.
Yeah,
that's a good product. There's other great boots. Don't get me wrong, but the design, the innovations, insoles. I learned something. They learned something from me. Mm-hmm. When they sent them to me. Your foot's not built like mine.
No, I've got Fred Flintstone feet.
Yeah, and what happened was my left boot fit, perfect. And I told this gentleman on the phone before he sent them to me, I said, I've got a little bit of a bunion growth on my right toe. Count some points off for that.
It's a little
TMI flaw. I
can edit that
Well, it's going to change something, and what it changed was way up where the tongue hit my ankle.
Mm.
Well, here's what we learned from it. I can put all the rubbing alcohol there, and I can make a boot break eventually. But I got to looking, and I'm going, oh, wait a minute. That has this number of eyelets in it. I'm going to lace mine differently. And there's a lace. It's a military lace where you come up, cross, up again. It's like that square hex-looking thing. It allowed me to wear the boots. They would hinge, and I didn't have any hot spots anymore. And I sent a picture back, and he goes, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
He said, "That's cool. That even looks better." instead of just the regular cross lay. It has to do with the number of eyelets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you hit that in the military, but
no.
when they gave you a new pair of boots, you suffered for days, didn't you?
Oh, dude, it was ridiculous, man. I hated my jungle boots. They issued us jungle boots and ICBs, infantry combat boots, and every time I had to wear my jungle boots, man, I just dreaded it because it was like these things will not break in no matter how much polish and saddle soap and
different.
Isopropyl alcohol you put on there to loosen it up, shaving cream and like whatever, old wives' tales and tricks. Couldn't get them to loosen up.
I remember these. I don't want to name a brand. I remember these. And at that time, I was rewriting. I was on a committee to rewrite the NOCTI exam. They call us, what do we call it? SME type dude.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I voiced my opinion many moons ago when I took it. I took that test. And there was a question on there that said, what's the correct polarity for an electrode of E 316-15, the old line-based, DCEP. Anyway, it was on the test not once, but 5 times.
Jeez.
And they worded it different each time. So it made me go back. I'm going, God damn.
Did I get it right the first 4 times?
Yeah, exactly. You're sure. And so when I got done with that test, I went up and I said, I don't want to use his last name, but he's a great guy. His wife was part of the Skills USA in Kansas. Back in those days, it was VICA.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, this guy was part of Pitt State. And I said, how many times do you use this electrode? He goes, never. And he's older than I am. And I said, I never have either. I'm aware of it. Maybe it's common in some other part of the country. We just don't use it. It's line-based. Come on, we're making electrodes now that run EP or AC, just like a good 7018. And I said, why is it on the test not once but 5 times? What, are we starving for good material here or what? Well, a couple years later, I get this invite to rewrite the test. I should have kept my mouth shut. But anyway, it was fun and it was a good experience. While I'm sitting you're at a conference call with people around the United States. I got this pair of boots on. They're pretty new. I'm about to wet my pants because the hot spot is right on top of right here, man. I mean, it is biting in there, and I'm going, crap, I wish I had some alcohol in here. It hurt, and it hurt bad. And I had to keep wearing them, because you take them off and then try to put them back on, you're in trouble. You might as well walk home barefoot.
Yeah.
It ain't going back on your foot, just swelling. It's just sitting there swelling up. You're not doing anything. And you gotta avoid that. That's where I found lacing them up was a little bit different for cutting that hot spot. But, man, if you can get rid of that hot spot with a little bit of alcohol and just get through the day and, soften it up, I'll use beeswax. I found beeswax I put beeswax on elk skin gloves. First thing I do. I'll grab that stuff and slather a big old nasty looking wad on there, and I'll roll it all into the gloves and put them by the fireplace or get it back away from a torch flame.
Mm-hmm.
Use your hair dryer.
Mine specifically?
And melt that in, and it softens them up, makes them waterproof, and they'll wear so much longer.
Huh.
They look greasy and they collect dirt right away, but gee whiz, clean them off.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good for leather.
Huh. I have to look into that. My buddy, his kid was into baseball, like big time. I mean, it's like a religion in their household. So he's always sworn by saddle soap.
Yeah.
So when I got a pair of boots and, like I said, I got fat feet. So there's specific manufacturers that don't cater to flat feet.
Yeah.
And I've got both flat, fat feet. And so he's like, wipe them down with saddle soap, and then put them in the oven at like the lowest temp you can go. So it's like 200.
Just warm, yeah.
Yeah, just warming. Just leave them in there for a couple hours, pull them back out, soap them up again, drop them back in there, and I could not get these boots to break in. But I know I've noticed on like other pair, if you need to soften up a pair of boots quick, because I mean, especially when you're working, 612s or 712s and your boots take a crap, like you got to go out and get a new pair of boots and wear them to work the next day.
Yeah.
So you don't have time to get these things to wear in.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's kind of like a cheat code or a life hack to get these boots to break in faster.
I learned something off baseball players when Hamar and Allen with WeldTube, South Coast sent me a custom Outlaw Leather with my logo on the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dead of winter time. That'd be 15 degrees. It had been in this box for a good week at least. So when I unboxed it, what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Hard wrinkled. It's frozen, And I'm going, God, what do I use here? I want to shape it. I want to soften it up. So I got to asking. I played golf with a buddy of mine that he was part of the national championship baseball team in 96 or 97, 98 when I started at the college. And the back-to-back years, Cali College won NJCAA baseball championship. And I said, what do you guys use on your mitts? What do you do? Soften them up, treat them, whatnot? He goes, get the shittiest shaving cream, the old 97-cent can.
Colgate.
That's what they use on gloves, man. They shape it in there, treats the leather, softens it, makes the memory correct, for the ball and the web and all that kind of stuff. I used it on a putter one time. I found this old-time blade putter. This thing was antique. I mean, Moses used it, I believe. And it had the red leather wrapping on it. When you talk about dry and slick, I put some of that crappy old Barbasol on there.
That's it, Barbasol.
I'm not dissing Barbasol because I still use it.
Man, I ain't seen a razor.
Gee whiz, man, that stuff. The rag was red. I mean, but man, you talk about it got feel to it. I was like, wow, that's impressive. What's it got in it? Lanolin or something?
Yeah, it's lanolin because I reached out and asked you when I had my the hood I got from Outlaw Leather.
Oh, that's right, you did.
My students got me that the We the People hood, and I was like, man, this thing is like stiff as a damn board.
Yeah.
And I wanted to soften it up. And it had been years that I've been working with this thing, like just trying to get it to loosen up, and I wasn't sure what to put on there. I tried, saddle soap and beeswax and all that stuff, and you said lube it up with shaving cream overnight. So like Friday night I came home, I laced it on there, rubbed it in, wiped it off Saturday morning, did another coat Saturday night, and wiped it off again Sunday morning, and then coat it with Snow Seal.
Yep.
Boom, done.
I took it one step further and laid mine across the ESOB Sentinel. Round dome,
Yeah.
I shaped it that way, and I thought, well, there you go, I'll do it. So now anytime I store it, I need to do it again because it's hanging on a hook, and it's resting against the wall, and it's got that crease in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. It has that crease in it because I had a young man come to me. He had a hood. I don't know what it was. He used it the first day he was in my shop, and his hood crashed. And so he does like everybody else, and they go reach for my custom lid from Outlaw. Like, guys, come on, really? Oh, he not only used it, he owned it for the length of time that I was training him, but Outlaw stepped up and made him a custom lid. The handicapped kid.
I was going to say, that's that young man that was in the wheelchair.
He got that in, and I'm going, can I have mine back now? Is it okay if I have my hood back? The old Tiger hood, that was my very first lid in 1974. I still have it. I painted it with that Flexstone two-tone ground-up money color, and I still use it. That's what I cut pipe with. Anyway, Kelson got this lid from Outlaw. That was a stand-up thing to do. But, I'm going to dog him out. I said, dude, I've been welding for 40-something years. I paid my dues, sweat and blood and everything. And you put out one post, and you get a custom lid. What is it with you, man? That guy's, I'll tell you what, I had a good time.
Mm-hmm. But, those guys from Outlaw are awesome people. Jesus and Ismail, they're so freaking awesome. I've got to go out to Texas to check out their new welding program on YouTube. I got to hang out with them at Fab Tech. They're just super nice people. The necklace pendant that I've got on right now, the American flag.
Oh, yeah.
Outlaw hood. I got that through Rugged Charms.
Unique company products and everything. When we toured down there and I walked in that shop, that smell will never leave my memory.
Right. They moved now.
Huh?
They've moved.
That's what I heard.
They just expanded.
Because they've something else you guys probably forgotten. I'll never forget is the German Shepherd.
No, I won't forget him.
Yeah, I kept asking about him. He ran off. I think.
He don't like people.
Well, I know he doesn't like people, but after we had gone and everything, he left. I think he went off and died or something. But he's a great dog.
Mm.
But the smell of the rich tones of leather are phenomenal. Now, something I haven't been able to do yet, but I'm going to. CMR Fabrications, and it was in Las Vegas, up in Utah now, reached out to me through Randy Ballard at Lumerium.
Yeah.
FabTech Chicago, the year of the Snowmageddon there.
I remember that when we landed and the plane right behind us slid off the runway.
We were going to do the interview with Jason at Fireball. All of us were walking back there, and Randy hollers at me. So we walked by the Stryker truck, Stryker manufacturer, the big one. Man, you got to come back here. I gave him a hug. I said, man, I haven't seen you. He goes, come back. We need to talk. We have to talk. And so I came back over, and he hands me this carbon fiber pancake. And I said, stop this, why you do that? He goes, well, there's a gentleman out in Vegas wants to meet you, reach out, need some help. I said, I'm blown away. So I get home, I call this gentleman. We talked for a long time. He's a young guy. We share the same philosophy of products, of brand loyalty. Mm. He knows that I'm loyal. If he didn't, he knows it now. I don't jump around. I don't collect stuff. I'm humbled if anything is. I'm honored when somebody says, "Will you test this?" Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm curious. I want to test a quality product. I'm going to give you your feedback directly to you. I'm not going to put anything out on any kind of platform. I'll go right back directly to you. If you want me to, I'll let my students advise you as well. What they like, dislike. You can take that and design, make differences, whatever. But Cody and I talked for quite some time. He happened to live in the same neighborhood that I lived in Vegas, up north. And toward the end of the conversation, I said, well, I'm going to go ahead and give your pancake away. There's dead silence on the other end of the phone. And he said, why? I said, well, you didn't do your homework, man. I'm left-handed. You gave me a right-handed pancake. And I could see he kind of felt sunk. I said, dude, you need to relax. What you need to do is gear up for production, because I'm going to give it to a guy. He's a district welder or Southern Star Pipeline. And he has supported my program enough that he earns this thing. But when I give it to him, everybody's going to want one in his company. The build is quality, is super light, functionality of it and everything. Well, he took it one step further, twice. He's done this twice. How about the first in the world ambidextrous?
Yeah, I've seen that.
I got to
the
do the
screws. You can
reveal
bolt
on
it left and right side.
Yeah, you can change it over. And Cody and I were talking one day. I said, I get in some strange positions here. And I said something about the relief over here, and says, I already got that. I said, were you reading my mind or something? It's like we were just clicking back and forth. I know I popped off one night I'm going to say this was, I guarantee it's a long time before you ever saw one. But I said, if you ever make a carbon fiber sugar scoop, you'll own the world. I'm on it. I'm doing it. And he did. I got one. I bought one. I know he was behind. I was patient with the order. And when I wrote him and ordered it, I said, I'm paying for this outright. I hope you understand. It will be probably the last lid that I ever buy in my lifetime. And I finally got the box well after Christmas. And again, I know he's behind. I wasn't going to push him or anything, but I had the box behind. I called him up and said, you put anything in here? Did I get ripped off? There's nothing in here. It's too light. I'm telling you, it's ounces, air. You cannot feel it. The lens is.
Box weighs more than the hood.
Yeah, it's crazy how comfortable that thing is. I have and use every one of them that I've, for the longest time, I had like 7 in 40-something year career, and then started filming with Todd, and trying to build the channel, and you get products in, you got sponsors and whatnot. And that was at that time where I was, everybody's talking auto dark. Come on. I've been using the same gold glass thing for years. What's that do?
Gold
Your eyes
lens?
are acclimated to that color and tone and whatnot. So, really the other thing with auto dark was, to me, they weren't fast enough. I was already done tacking. These things are still trying to catch up, and I'm done. Now you're making me refocus, and they made me go cross-eyed, literally. Well, then Arc 1 came along, and the color of their lens, for whatever reason, and how fast it was, I'm guilty of wearing a baseball cap, tacking up a geodesic fire pit smoker or anything. What do? We lean our head down, we lean our face down, use the bill of the cap to tack up. It's for speed. You put your hand out. I know that's a bad safety thing, but we catch ourselves doing that.
I'd kick you out of my shop.
I do that way less now. I don't even hardly do it at all now that I have auto dark that works for me.
Right.
I wish I had a penny for every time I've raised and lowered a hood. Every time I've knotted a hood, it comes down like it's supposed to, except for one. I kicked it off the top of a 50-foot tire one day because it earned it. I hated that hood. It was one of those you had to carry a dime or a screwdriver. I don't remember what brand it was. I can still picture it. If you tightened it just a little bit, it wouldn't come down. If you loosened it just a little bit, it'd
Slide
come down
all
when
the
you
time.
didn't want it to, and it'd slam you right in the sternum. Well, I got tired of that one day, and I kicked it off there. I let it shatter all over the parking lot. But, other than that, I owned all my lids. I still used them, except for that one, and then there was one other that I gave away. It was a pretty clean pipeliner, sugar scoop. That old design's been around, still functional.
Yeah.
Take care of your stuff, and you'll use them for a really long time. You haven't commented yet, but I've had this hat for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I wear it around. It's just one of those style things. I'd wear my flare hair, but I'm a little more of a fire hazard at that point. But I soak this thing out occasionally, like I do all my hats, regardless of golf hats and whatnot. But
it's the old Peaky Blinder hat.
Oh man, I soaked this thing recently, and I'm getting ready to empty the water out, and there's a bunch of black in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Is that pigment, or is this hat finally giving it up? I brought a magnet home. Guess what? It's metal particulate matter, and I'm breathing it.
We're all breathing it.
I know, but you kind of, I guess you take it for granted that, and I wear a respirator more and more.
Mm-hmm.
God bless Sean Flotman. Dabs Wellington he told me last time he was down. He said, I feel much better. I'm not going home and dragging it. I feel more energized. I know I'm not breathing as much of that garbage in there. And this thing with we do a lot of plasma cutting. We're starting to do more. And now that it's getting colder, we got to keep the door down. I crack my door open a little bit, try to get that ventilation flow through there. But a gentleman reached out. He's reached out to you as well. Armor O2.
Yep.
Cliff Day's got this product. It's filters. They're there. They're there. I guess we could be wearing cotton balls in our nostrils, but and I have, I gave him feedback, and I said, I find your product to be extremely beneficial in areas like this, and I gave him the examples of you get into a situation where you can't wear a respirator, or you're doing a quick something, but even wearing it all day long, it's comfortable enough that you can wear it all day long.
Mm.
It's no less obtrusive. It's no less violating than an earplug, for crying out loud. Why not wear it?
Yeah.
Some of my students said it felt like I had a bloody nose. Where are you going to?
I had a couple students that wouldn't wear it.
Yeah, if you don't wear it right or something, but do the feedback on it. I find them to be very beneficial.
Mm.
I just think they make sense. It's like a good any filtration system, but I mean, look what we're breathing more and more.
It's not as good as like a P91, but it's better than nothing.
Oh yeah,
it's going to filter out particulate matter and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, when you said particulate matter, what'd you do in the Marine Corps? You wallered around in the dirt and the dust.
Oh yeah.
Take a heavy equipment operator that's prepping a job site after just eating that stuff all day long. First responders, firemen.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, firemen are going to do their respirator stuff. But
they got
anybody
the
that's doing outside metal work, carpentry work, I kind of like doing some woodwork, but occasionally all those shavings are coming back around me and on me, and I know they're not good to be breathing in. I like to cook.
Start blowing wood boogers.
I like to cook, and I dropped a bag of flour one night. No, I'm joking. Anything where there's dust or something, it just makes good sense, to put that stuff on. Some of the kids I was talking to today, we were talking about eye safety and whatnot, and I said, I've had enough pieces of mill scale and particles that get in your eye. The eye doctor, he'd tell you not to flinch as he's firing up a Dremel tool at 30,000 RPM with a carbide burr. He tells you not to flinch. And when they get done removing whatever piece it is, they like to gnaw on you a little bit. They want to remind you. I let them go for a little bit, and I remind them I'm wearing my safety glasses, my goggles, and a face shield.
Mm.
Trust me, it's still got in there. It's a phenomenon. It happens to me and me only, whatever. Go ahead and chew my butt out. By the way, put a half mile of that gauze in one eye so I can't drive home and I run over old people or whatever. Yeah, things happen if you prepare for them and you're aware of them. But
that's the biggest thing I don't get is like safety glasses are so simple, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm like I really bear down on people for like wearing safety glasses. It's like step one, like you walk into the shop, put your safety glasses on. Like I've driven. Luckily, thank God to this day, knock on wood over here. Like I've never had an eye injury to where I had to get something pulled out from my eyeball. But
I'm sorry, but I have.
I've taken several people to the ER, like as a foreman, that have, and most of them didn't have their safety glasses on. You're out there grinding, running a wire wheel, even welding. I mean, how many times you get into gas metal arc welding or flux core or anything like that? You have a hood, you got your hood down and the sparks bounce around in your hood and hit you in the eyeball. Yeah. That's a new kind of hurt.
Yeah, you can get off of work, be driving down the road, minding your own business, something falls out of your eyebrow, and it's all of a sudden it just you're going, where'd that come from? Well, yeah.
We used to put, you take double stick tape and put a magnet on the brim of your hard hat or the brim of your face shield. When we did that grinder safety video, I threw that tip out there. But I learned that from an old timer. Like you put that there because when you lift that face shield up, all that dust and debris now falls right back down because it was creating a barrier between the lip of your hard hat and that face shield and all that dust and debris, especially when you're grinding overhead out in the field.
Oh yeah,
it just collects right there. You lift it up, man. The wind catches it and poof.
How about your buddy over here, 10 feet away? He's using the wrong part of the wheel. He's like launching it.
That's another big thing. Is like using the wrong side of that wheel, man.
It's like
blowing the sparks away from you, throwing them towards the roof and shit. Like, as much as it sucks, adjust your guard. Take 2-3 seconds to adjust your guard and make sure your sparks are pointing down or back at you a little bit, because when that grinder bites, which way is it going, Bob?
Right toward you.
Yeah. If those sparks are going away from you and that wheel catches, the grinder's coming at you.
Well, how many times have you seen somebody's shirt tail? I mean, we all we work in comfort. We're going to cover up from UV light, but we take our shirt tail for granted. But how many have you seen there's a hole in the shirt tail on the left-hand side?
Yeah.
How many have you seen? A bunch of them.
Mm-hmm. That's where they met the wire wheel.
That's where they hit a bunch of sparks too.
Yeah.
Sparks are high heat. I guess I was blessed with enough intelligence to move 3 inches or 2 inches to one side so that they passed right by me. Thanks, Mom.
Shout out to Mom.
Yeah, no doubt. I don't mind slinging sparks. I like slinging them at select camera guys. That's who I like slinging them at. Grinders, man, I tell you what, they bite, they buck, whatever. You got to be they're powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I cringe, the back of our shop, side of our shop's got these old time bow doors. The wheel's 2 inch. It's 12 inches in diameter. You know what they run on.
Mm-hmm.
When you hit stop, they're going to keep coasting for a long time. They've got a lot of power. They've got that inertia effect. And I locked out, tag out the one that's got the wire brush on it. It's just too dangerous. People just take for granted that people will be working at it and a nice little gust of breeze blows in and it blows their shirt tail up toward that. And they're like, I see it come within about a half inch and my heart sinks. Because if that shirt tail ever gets wrapped up in that wire wheel, their guts are coming out a half a second later.
Yeah.
It is so powerful, it'll wrap you up and disembowel you. It's bad. And they're not aware of it. Mm-hmm. They're naive to an injury. They've not seen one, they've not had one. And mine, it's like, how many times have we been working and you go, and something happened, be it a cut or a wrong move with something, and you go, I knew that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's that microsecond in time you think, and you take it for granted. Well, it can change your life. You're not going to get the time back. So my whole deal is it's an awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I put a ranked post out. My nephew, of course, I got a choice nickname for him. I ripped on him pretty hard one day, and I actually put a post out on Instagram. I said, don't do this crap. I will make you world famous. And I did. And I even told him, you guys come in here, the light's not right, but you only have dark glasses. You're going to come in here all Hollywood thinking you're cool, but you're not going to be able to see.
Mm-hmm.
Get some clear safety glasses. Get both. You're going to cut. You need to have some safety glasses on. Get clear ones so you can see. Do your layout work, whatever. You're doing some hot processes, you're cutting or whatever. You need the dark ones, put dark ones on. I warned him multiple times. And I can get your attention from clear across the shop. I can get your attention from a block away. I have the ability to get some bark and it's that. But he was chipping slag and had his glasses down below his chin. I said, I'm going to take a picture and put it out on the web here just as an example, and then I'm going to rip your ass like you've never had it ripped before. And I did. And I called his mom. I said, your boy's probably going to come home. His mom's my niece, brother's daughter. And I said, he probably going to come home crying, but I don't care. And I told her what happened. She goes, well, that's odd. You'd think he would have learned. And she said he had that whatever they're doing, somehow, I think they're riding motorcycles or something, a stick went in his eye or cut his eye. He is strapped to a gurney for 120 miles. He can't sneeze, burp, fart, cough. They didn't want him to do anything like that because his retina was detached. Now, why would you come in the weld shop and remove your safety glasses if you've already been through that? I heard that story. I went back and ripped him again. I mean, I gnawed on this kid. He didn't have any butt left. But then later on, we did do the positive post later on. He did some cool stuff. It's not that I was wanting to pick on him. He's relation, so I'm going to make an example out of him.
Right.
But golly, don't take that for granted. You can lose your eye. Yeah, you'll overcome the depth perception and all that kind of stuff. It's just, why would you want to? I mean, if you take it for granted and you know it could happen, just be aware. It takes very little time. I used to walk into high schools and they're working in the weld shop without any safety glasses at all.
Yeah.
I had to walk
blows
back
me
there.
away.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing, I'm lucky enough, I guess, anytime I pick up a grinder, the sparks are coming back toward me.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I'm gonna wear a face shield and safety glasses. I had a brother-in-law, and he's like, "Hey, man, I just got this I got this boat off Craigslist, and it came with a trailer." He says the boat's like, perfect condition. It's a rowboat, but he says this. I want to take this trailer and knock all the rust off of it, and clean it up, repaint it, swap out all the hardware.
Oh,
cool, no problem, man. Bring it over. The company I was working for, I was like, bring it over to the shop. We'll take it over on Saturday. We'll wire wheel the hell out of it. We'll replace all the hardware. We'll get it painted up. No problem. Done. So he comes over there, I give him the grinder, give him all the safety equipment. I'm over there cleaning one part, he's cleaning another, and I look up at him. No safety glasses, no face shield, running a wire wheel. And now, mind you, he lost one of his eyes in a firework incident when he was a young man, under the age of 10.
Oh, my God.
And so I walk up to him and I said, hey, look, man, I don't want to be a dick, but you only got one eye left.
Yeah.
Why would you want to risk it? Like, put the damn safety glasses on, put the face shield on, and then, you don't want to risk, especially them wires come off. I pull them out of my chest and my abdomen and, through the welding jacket and everything. Like, put some damn safety glasses on. How many people you see take a wire wheel and lay it down flat? Oh, yeah.
That just weakens that wheel. Mm-hmm. And you'd be the one to be minding your business, walk across the shop, and you catch one in the cheek or the eye.
Yep.
It's crazy. I see people doing stuff. You don't remember the old American Optical safety glasses?
Blue lens?
Had the wire tight wire cups on the side. They were comfortable. And I'm telling you, there was no way anything going to get through the bridge right around. There's no space for anything to get in there. Tight cup around your eye socket. I'm doing piping on Caw Dam in northern Oklahoma on the Arkansas River. I'm doing the piping that goes underneath there to do the hydroelectric. Weird shapes of piping and T's and all this stuff. I don't beat the crap out of my slag. You know that. Mm-hmm. I'm barely touching. I'm pecking on it. And this piece comes. I saw it coming. It was right in front of my face. I blinked. It was too late. It was already went in my eye. How'd they get in there? That's not fair, man. I mean, I protected my eyes. Every time I've been hurt with an eye injury, I've had protection over my eyes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes to the tune of 3 layers. But I'm the one that gets it, I stick a piece of scar tissue in my eye because of that. So we talked about breathing. We talked about the eye stuff. We talked about our feet. Gloves. There's some great gloves out. I can tell you one that's coming out. Blue Demon's going to have a glove coming out. The Weldon Okie down in Oklahoma guys,
Okie from Muskogee.
Oh, yeah. He's down that way. I think broken arrow down in that direction. Anyway, they kind of figured out everybody hates that heat. And what's heat do to your gloves? What's heat do
shrinks
to
it
the pinky? makes you look like Merlin. You know, you got that piece of fabric that comes out and it's all wadded up. There's collaboration between the Weldon Okie and Blue Demon. They come up with a fabric to design this stuff, and it doesn't transfer heat. And I believe Dabbs Wellington has done his. He burns the crap out of it. And Garrett, I'm pretty sure Garrett laid his hand. He made it well. I think he was up to 700 something degrees. Put his hand on it for as long as he could, which was a fair amount of time. I think he's told me 30, 40 seconds or something.
Mm.
Well, heat transfers pretty quick, but he may have had a tiny blister that healed the very next day. That's a lot of heat.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to do that all the time. But if you want to, like you said, light touch, if you're going to glide along, it's going to transfer some, but it's not going to transfer like you're bearing down on it. And the glove is comfortable. I have a pair that I'm trying out, and man, oh man, I mean it's it is what it is. Game changer. Slide along, do some fast, quick TIG work in a hot area like on aluminum. You know, aluminum transfers that heat so dang fast.
Yeah.
You think, I'll get in there and get that tacked up. Shit, you're already crying. You're already burnt. Pinky's all burned up. There's very few products that you can actually work with that will stay with you and not cut your time. And this Game Changer glove is going to be one of them. I see it. I like things that make sense, that work and that work well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to complement what we do. Otherwise, we're standing there wasting time figuring it out. Yeah, I got a heat pad over here. I got a Kotex. I'm gonna a piece of wood. I got this. I got my old boot out. I got a piece. You know, he's fumbling around with all that.
Old gloves.
You're already done and packing up and going home. I'm over here gathering stuff. You know, got a wadded up newspaper and a Sears catalog or something.
That's the thing is, like, you know, they haven't made a whole lot of progression with. I mean, look at the strides that welding hoods have made, and hearing protection and all this other stuff. And then you think like gloves, boots,
heat, leather's leather.
Yeah.
You know.
Leather's been great for years, but I mean, like we've made some major technological advances to where we can like dampen the effects of heat quite a bit without a dead cow. Well,
I've always thought there's a design flaw in the human body anyway. I am going to talk to the maker someday, the designer. Okay. I'm going to file a grievance, but why is it you can touch something cold, you know it instantly? You touch something hot,
it takes a minute.
Yeah, and the damage is already done after it registers.
Well, see, I think that only applies to
that's hot.
That only applies to welders, because like I'll pick something up, my students are like, "Careful, that's hot," and I'm like, "Just pick it up, hold it." Like we build up like a tolerance to it to an extent, for a lot like warm. And then by the time the students finish the program, they're picking up warmer stuff, and like I can pick things up around the house, and my wife's like, "Oh no, don't touch that, it's hot," and it's like, it's not bad. Or like when the server from Chili's brings over your fajitas, and they're like, "Oh, be careful, that plate's hot," and be like, "Yeah, okay, yeah,
right."
And you grab a hold of it and set it down, take it off of her oven mitt and set it down, and she's like just mind blown. But I think we kind of build up a tolerance. But yeah, cold is that registers quick because we're not, as welders, we're not used to dealing with something cold. But you kind of your senses go a little numb.
So do you when you go snow skiing, do you you put your tongue on the lift?
I don't put my tongue on a lot of things, Bob.
Yeah. So cold is registered immediately. Hot, the nerves recede, and there is an exception to the hot thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got up one morning and I was kind of in a hurry and I was cooking bacon and naked. Well, anyway, let's move to the next product.
Put hair on your chest.
Yeah. Oh man. How about your eyes? You ever burn your eyes?
Photokeratitis?
Yeah.
Arc flash?
What's that, Judge?
It's called photokeratitis, arc flash.
I thought it's a non-something lethal conjunctivitis.
Conjunctivitis? Yeah, that's I think that's more like a pink eye type deal.
Yeah, back in the day, the old wives' tale trick of mashing the cold potatoes.
I don't know if that's a wives' tale, man. Anytime I've ever gotten arc flash, I've put
I've seen grown men cry like
little. Put a potato in the freezer, slice it up, throw it on your eyeballs, let it sit for about a half hour.
Something about that potato that draws out that.
I think it's the starch pulls out whatever.
It's doing something.
Yeah, that chemical reaction or whatever's going on.
Chemistry going on, but it is painful. I think I crispied mine up one time. We were building these. We kind of split the crew. We were trying to get these Vibra-sized trucks done. There's a butterfly that you put on all these beams. This base plate lifts the entire truck. where you got 5 of them that go in a row, and when they vibrate the earth, the vibrations bounce off the rock formations and come back up. They read them.
Mm.
Well, it's hotter than hell in Oklahoma, and we're going to build these things. We're going to start at 4 o'clock in the morning. 1/16 wire, 95.5 gas. You know the amperage.
Mm-hmm.
Bugs are going to swoop in. You're going to smell burnt gnats and stuff. But oddly enough, you're going to burn your own damn eyes because it's going to ricochet off the inside of your hood or off. You know the Blue Demon, the Carhartt fabric, the blue denim. I mean, not demon, denim.
Yeah, blue denim.
I could ruin one in a week. The UV light just destroyed that fabric, and it just fall apart over here. You know, that hurt.
Careful.
Man, I mean, it just cooked it, and I ricocheted off my own T-shirt one morning. I was getting UV light from the inside of my reflection on the inside of my hood. Man, I went home that day, and I mean, I was absolutely roasted. You usually don't find out till you get into a dark room or you lay down and watch TV or something and take a sip of your cold beer, and that's when your blood vessels constrict and you're going, oh crap, I'm burnt. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I ended up going to the emergency room. I was just irritable. You can't get that pain away from your head. It was a bad deal. They got some ophthalmic ointments that take that out of there. And your eyes will heal themselves within 4 hours of injury that's building scar tissues. That's why it's better to get metal, I think, in your eye than.
It's pretty damn quick.
Oh, the worst thing is mowing the yard and get a cedar limb or something across your eyeball. Come back. It not only scratched your eye, but it deposited some nice resin in there for you. Not good. Oh man. There's some. I don't know. I've seen a lot of changes. There's so many cool products out these days. I look at other people in our industry, and I look at what they're doing, the processes. I'm proud of them. I'm proud I was associated with them at one point in time, and Rush Kane and I have talked about some things, and we were talking about tungsten one day, and it was. You notice, you do the level of work that he does. You notice the fine, subtle details of the arc and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about cryogenics. And I fired back and I said something about cryogenics. He didn't know actually what it was. And he's played golf now,
Has he?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a golfer now. Well, I put it back into him in terms of golf. And it was the Mizuno they've been heat treating golf clubs for a long time. And when you soak something at minus 240 degrees, trust me, molecules are going to rearrange themselves. Mm. Carbon and iron are going to rearrange themselves. And for a golfer, that's feel. That vibration back to your hands. You hit a pure Mizuno iron in a golf shot, it feels like smooth. Impart that spin. And so when you're talking about a tungsten and it's been heat treated that way, puts pure art. I'm impressed with bendable tungstens. I think that's just cool. Pink works extremely well. The Blue Demon pink works extremely well across the board from AC/DC, but the bendable light blue one, that's just cool. I've had some old farmers come to me, and they've got a piece of equipment that come off of a old time tractor. It's irreplaceable. You're not going to find one anywhere in the country. It's broken. Trust me. It's got metal fatigue to it or something. You reach down in some little bitty space way down inside there with the bent tungsten, you're able to take silicon bronze or put some spots back in there and repair this thing, and hand it back to them. What do I owe you? Nothing. The smile on your face because you thought I couldn't do it's enough for me. Mm. I'll collect on the next one. And they usually do. They bring me something back, and I don't hurt them, but I like doing them for free, but I can't do them all for free. But bendable tungsten has got me out of a jam a lot of times.
All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This segment of the Junkies Podcast is brought to you by AHP Welders. AHP makes great machines for the fraction of the cost. If you're new to welding, learning in your garage, or you just need a welder for around the house for working on weekend projects, check out ahpwelds.com and get a machine for under $1,000 without sacrificing price or performance. That's ahpwelds.com. We're also brought to you by Strong Hand Tools, makers of heavy-duty welding tables, toggle clamps, magnets, and fabrication tools. If you're a welding student and you want to register your school for a free gift package, head on over to stronghandtools.com/ArcJunkies to register, and be sure to visit them at the Performance Racing Industry Show, booth number 5559, December 9th through the 11th. Now let's get back into the show.
I ain't had a chance to mess with that. I remember back in the day, we'd heat them up and then take a pair of pliers and kind of tweak them a little bit to get in some odd shaped spots especially
rake,
for repairs, and it's
don't
easier
don't violate the obvious.
Yeah,
got to keep them in the. You can't bend it 90 degrees and stick it out past your half inch past.
Yeah, you can't take it past your tungsten, or you can't take it past your cup and all that. But
it does have to have nice argon blanket to it. But just the shape and be able to get you into an area where you can make that successful weld or spot
because
weld.
a lot of times you can't get the correct travel angle with the torch because that tungsten's sticking out, straight out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you get the ability to tweak it a little bit, now I'm not, even though I can't twist my torch or get that proper angle with the torch, maybe I can get it with the tungsten. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what matters is the angle of your tungsten.
I told you I've been doing a lot of recycling renovations and figuring stuff out. I've been downsizing a bench grinder my dad had. And I don't care what bench grinder. The bolt hole pattern does not match a Certiflat table or any of the tooling tables. Right? I'm in there building plates, and I got to hit those holes. So I put the bolts in there and tighten them up. And then what do you got to do? Well, I don't want it sticking above the table 4 inches, 5 inches. I want it down there low. I want that low profile. What do you got to do? I'll tack it in place. Well, I like to tack it in place. I'm accurate. It works. Reach up underneath there with the bent tungsten and hit it. I mean, it works. It's cool. And it just takes a tack, pull it back off there, and sink the rest of the weld on it. And good to go. Mm-hmm. I mounted one the other day. That didn't sound right. Let me rephrase that. I put one together the other day, and there's some, I don't even know what it is. It's like ground up rubber composite material. You know what I'm talking about? I found a roll of this stuff. It's like 5 inches wide. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. I'm telling you, that thing is beautiful for mounting grinders and stuff. I use diamond wheels for sharpening tungsten in my shop. I like those from McMaster Car. They get down to they're not perfect. When they get down to the end, they're slowing down. What do?
Vibrate.
It's like the grinder's going to walk off the damn table. Yeah. It's noisy as all get out. You're in there working by yourself at night. You shut the grinder off. You're walking away, and you think, what was that? Was that somebody in the shop with me here?
Still moving.
It scares you.
Yeah.
That stuff takes all the vibration out. It's smooth. It's quiet. I like using that stuff.
We use that.
Super glue it down in place.
When I used to do putting stair sections and stuff up, we'd put that in there as like a dampener between the handrail and the stair stringers, and it was like a little neoprene pad. And it's just a roll, like you said, about 4 inches wide, probably 1/4 inch thick. Just like heavy duty neoprene, not like the neoprene like you put on for a dive suit, but it's a neoprene type rubber. And we just cut out the foot pattern, cut the little holes in it, and then we'd mount that and sandwich it in between. And it takes a lot of that vibration and stuff out because they're aluminum. You don't want all that vibration on aluminum, cyclically loading and stuff like that. So it keeps it from cracking over time.
Yeah, cracking out. Especially if you got a little fissure from their weld termination.
Yeah.
I just thought of something we talked about earlier. It was Sam Hackman and the 1600 style torch, that long tube thing. Man, I got a hold of mine. I like to fish out of water, but I'm getting used to it, and I like it. I'm prepping material. A lot of mine, if we're doing the structural part of it, we do 3/8 plate. I go 8x8, reduce the coupons down to hardly nothing. But I'm standing out there prepping this stuff. I'm not in a hurry, but I'm not going to mess around about it. I'll get somebody going. I'll demonstrate it. I found one of my old bent tips. It's a number 2.
Jeez.
Trust me, if you lean it forward to the side left for me, it establishes a lot of preheat out in front of where you're going to cut. We're gonna take this thing off there. We're going to take it to the grind station. A person is going to grind one end, and that's it. We're not going to bevel it on the factory side. We're going to take the slag and the poop off of one end only. It's going to go to the burn table, and we're going to start beveling them. I think that's efficient. But in saying that, I'm standing out there, and I'm able to bevel them also. If these guys get bogged down, all I got to do is hold my torch just a little bit different, and now that bent tip is angled in such a manner that I've got it against the burn bar, and I'm beveling the plates as I'm cutting them off.
Right. You guys don't use track torch?
I was gonna do a short video for Sam, and I do have a number 5 tip. There's something wrong with it, but I was gonna make a cut, and I'm gonna go, Sam, it's a number 5. I know I commented back to him one night, and I said, how about a number 1? How about a number 1 doing some hand bevel something? He goes, yeah, man. And I see that kind of stuff, and I think that's cool that, we're always figuring stuff out, whether it's product, like you said, that foam stuff for dampening, any of that. Pay attention to what you're doing, your work around. We were talking earlier, and you said anybody that makes work fun. No. Is Daryl's wife picked me up at the airport?
Oh, I heard that was hell of a ride.
That was fun. That's fun. She could win races.
That's what I've heard.
She can drive through the trees and the curves and whatnot. She's got skills, man.
The funny thing is he said that, my wife's picking up. He's like, Bob's on his way. Because you didn't make your flight last night. And he goes, oh, yeah, Bob's on his way. And because I'd texted you, and I wasn't sure if you'd landed yet. And I said, I ain't heard from Bob yet. And he's like, oh, no, my wife's going to pick her up right now. He says, that ought to make for a hell of a story when he gets here.
Yeah. It's a hell of a story. We're talking about some cool stuff. And one of it was we're talking about photography, videography, documentaries and stuff. When she sees somebody working that they're just going through the paces and they don't like where they're at, which I see a lot of, everybody pissed off at what they do because they got to do something. Motions. But she says, when I see somebody enjoy their work, it is a pure pleasure to figure out how to shoot that or capture that, a record of it and whatnot. And there's so many cool things that you can do. I mean, obviously, granted, people are doing stuff with apps and putting stuff out on TikTok. Some of it matters, some of it doesn't. But the creativity of somebody that really enjoys their work and they're happy about work and being able to use the photography background and capture stuff. I'm kind of looking forward to the old gripey old camera guy coming up. Kind of want to get these camera lenses back out. And Nate, when he sat down and did the podcast in Chicago, and I walked up, you guys were doing your podcast thing. First thing I noticed was Rush Kane using his camera. What I noticed right off is it wasn't his big old fat 95 millimeter 2870 lens. It was the old workhorse back to the, I can't remember what he had, but it's not the mirrorless type thing. He went back to the straight digital. I kind of missed mine. I got to get it out. It took a header off tripod one night and kind of tweaked the old HDMI port to the tune of non-operable. It tracked the face around where the lens mount, but it works, but it's not right.
Not ideal.
I got to get it in, or I've got to get creative with super glue or something. But
right.
JB Weld, I'm certified in JB Weld. That's how I have
the proper mixture.
That's how I have you in my phone, by the way.
It is JB Weld.
JB Weld guy. Well, you had 2 phone numbers for a while, and I didn't know which one you were going to answer, and I stuck on the one that you were going to answer the most, and I just put JB Weld guy in there, and it worked.
There you go. Going back to watching people work, you've probably seen him, Phil, with House of Chop.
Oh yeah.
The work that guy does is just extremely amazing. But I like watching him. Like I could watch him for hours just because he's so animated and passionate about what he does. It's like, and I'm not big into cars at all. I'm not big into like auto body repairs or anything like that. But
I am because of him.
He makes it look fun.
That's cool. I didn't know it was so much fun.
Same thing with there's a guy called Katz Moses, and he's on YouTube. He does woodworking. That dude, like, I shit you not, I could sit there on a Sunday morning with my coffee because he usually releases his videos on Sunday, and I could pull up a Katz Moses video, because I subscribe to it, and just watch him build something. And 2 hours later, I'm like, if I got the time, I'm out in the garage. If I got the time and the material, I'm trying to replicate what he's doing. And he built some really cool shit, and that's where I built my.
I found one the other day. I can't remember why. It was one of those suggestions that pop up. I have nothing but pure respect for this guy. Customs. I'm going to get to it here in just a second. I subscribe to him. God, I hope he's listening. He bent square tubing the hard way. You know what that means?
Yeah.
Okay. What he did was made a circle. He built himself a plasma cutter, to cut the circle for the sheet. He did all this. He used the entire circle to do the radiuses of a floor in a Model A.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get to it here in a sec, but golly, it's impressive work.
Talking about like bending stuff. I watched the video from once again the Weld Noki. He made like a circular piece out of tube, and then the ends don't always quite match up. You kind of have to. It ends up getting overbent when you put it through a tube roller or anything like that. Right. And then you cut it square. You find the point of tangency, and you cut them both square, and then you got to match them back up.
Always got it.
And he had like like a little fixture there to make it the right diameter, but he kept heating up one side or the other. Just to kind of because what's heat do to metal? It moves it, and it's going to move it in the direction of the heat. And as soon as he started heating up that one side, it started pulling out until it like perfectly matched. And then once you let it, clamp it down, let it cool, and then you can weld it all out, and it's perfect ends.
I have nothing but respect for this guy because this is I'm gonna give him a shout out on here because make it custom. Make it custom. It's spelled with a K.
Custom with a K.
Don't care how he's got good reviews, good comments. He's getting like 250,000 views on videos, and that's a week ago, so it's a strong content.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sheet metal. I watched his MIG welding video, the settings and stuff. It's making stuff with what you have.
Right.
But he makes it in such a manner that it's attainable. Getting quality results, repeatable quality results. So that's why, I don't care what brand of welder he's welding with. But he's into old cars. He's into the cool stuff. I believe he made his own bead roller. May not.
That's pretty impressive.
You say
right
you
there,
might not like cars, but I know you want to ride in that. Oh, I don't know what that's an ad.
I'm gonna ride in that ad right there. I'm not gonna plug it.
Rat rods and stuff like that. Oh, he's a gentleman that I was telling you about that does the twisted square bar. Bends it one way and then bends it the other.
I wanted to see this because you were trying to half-ass explain it today when they were because the group that won
full detail. You were half-ass listening.
I don't know if that's what it was. I think
you listened to me out of your good eye now.
That might be it.
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to see exactly how this thing's done.
Here it is.
Well, this is an audio version. We'll have to check it out after the Once we get done here.
It's a square bar. His thing is keep it straight and square. Look at what you get when you do it correctly.
Oh, okay.
That's unique.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back and put a finish on it. I've seen a lot of guys do the ornamental, and they twist up, and then they go back through, and they hammer down flat spots, and they make them consistent. It's unique.
Yeah.
I like things that are unique. I don't like things that are wild, abstract. I don't understand what it is. I don't grasp that. You take me by a big office building, and I'm looking at a bunch of crap welded together, and if I don't recognize the shape, I'm really not interested.
Right.
I don't care what term you call it, and I don't care that you collected $250,000 for it. It doesn't mean anything to me. But if I see something like a buffalo made out of car bumpers from the 1940s and 50s, and I can recognize the shape, I can grasp that, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
That's just me, though.
I started coming around to having a love and affection for people that can do blacksmith type work.
It's a dying art.
It is, and I got involved with the the Florida Association of Blacksmith Artists, and they've got them all around the U.S. People that it's basically like a little free workshop. Well, not free. You sign up with a membership, and I think it's like maybe $15 for the year, and you get to go out the first Saturday of every month, and they show you, okay, here we're gonna make a set of tongs. Here's step one. Okay, everybody go out to the forge, get them all fired up, and then we're gonna go on. You do that part. About an hour or so later, they're like, okay, now we're on to step two, and you just keep repeating that process. And sometimes it might take 2 Saturdays to complete the build, but now you got a better understanding of how this stuff works. And there's just so many people out there that can manipulate metal. To a
you might want to hang out
detail.
with them. They probably learn. It's not written anywhere, probably. Mm-hmm. It's like those old guys that carry around the folding wooden rule.
Yeah.
Hang out with them because
they're going to show you something.
Stuff. Here, here's heat shrinking. on vehicle sheet metal and stuff.
Right.
I don't know. I found this guy's content. I'm hoping he makes it very well. I don't think he really cares if he does. He's going to put it out there anyway, and that's what another thing I'm proud of him about. Is quality content.
Yeah.
I sat there and I'm going, wow, that is good stuff right there. It's beneficial. People are interested in it. I think he made his own English wheel, maybe. He makes his own tools. That's what's cool about it.
That's really neat. You know, the
bead roller.
one video you might want to check out because you're an educator, and we talk about shrink and all this stuff with steel. And Nate Bowman and I talked about it a while back. Is
Nate,
Mr. Shrink, Lincoln Electric did a video a long time ago with Walt Disney World Studios called Mr. Shrink.
Really?
And it's an animated video. You got your phone out. Go ahead and check this out. It's called Mr. Shrink, and it's done by Lincoln Electric and Walt Disney World, and it explains shrink and joint designation and how to put things together and what heat actually does to metal. Because it's like when you do, okay, let's say you're big into pipe, so excessive weld reinforcement on the inside. Why is that a bad thing? It's going to cause turbulence, but why is it a bad thing?
Turbulence and stress risers at the joint.
But why is it a bad thing on the cap? Stress risers, right? So on the outside, because what's happening is that weld, we're depositing the metal, it's pulling on the left and right hand side of that bead. That's the video right there. It's
right here, top side?
It's pulling on the left and right hand side of that bead. So, if we put excessive weld reinforcement on there, because we're typically limited to 1/8 of an inch, you put excessive weld reinforcement in there, now we're causing a lot more strain, in the weld. So that's where it's going to separate, is at the toe of the weld metal and the base metal. So that's why we can't have excessive, reinforcement.
I recognize this font.
It's Walt Disney World.
Well, that's what I started watching when I was a little kid. I watched it on a black and white TV with my...
Well, this one's in color.
Well, right, but I didn't grow up that way. I grew up black and white TV with rabbit ears on top. We had 3 channels.
I had rabbit ears as a kid on the TV, and we put tinfoil on the ends.
Yeah.
To get better reception, man.
Yeah. That's like a turbocharged antenna right there.
Oh,
yeah. I was sitting there watching that stuff like this one day, and we had a dachshund.
Wiener dog?
Huh?
Wiener dog?
Yeah, wiener. Sausage dog.
Mm-hmm.
She, God, she's smart. She'd go everywhere with us, but she would get ultra pissed off if you didn't take her to the lake with you. If she wanted to go to the lake, she would ride on the pontoon out in front. She wanted to look down in the water and stuff. She always had to be out there with you, and if you didn't take her, she was going to tear something up at the house. Remember the old time picnic baskets, like 1/4 inch thick woven basket?
Kind of like they had on the old Yogi Bear series.
She would destroy that. She'd chew a hole in that. That'd be all over the house. She was ultra pissed off. But I had her in my lap one day. I was watching TV. The TV decides to burn up. We blow a tube and it starts smoking. And I'm glad I had her there because she defended me from getting hurt. It scared the crap out of me. I was a little kid. I didn't know what was going on, but she had that nice red fur going along her back. She was there poised. She was going to get that TV. She was protected. And I was probably watching this video here. I recognize that font from the old time. That's as a matter of fact,
great video.
We used to go to the movies. And they showed the cartoons. I'll guarantee you that font is recognizable. I don't know what it was called, but that's what the leading edge of every damn movie was made.
That's marketing right there, man. Old
60s.
Bambi. Bambi had the same font on there.
Oh, man. So this explains...
Watch that video with your students. How long is that video?
This one's 15 minutes. 16 minutes, yeah.
It's worth every minute of it. Have your students watch that because it explains it in such a way that it breaks it down very simple. It's animated. Yeah, it's old-timey, but, I think that's part of the luster of it. But it's a great video that it explains it in great detail in a course of 15 minutes. We talk about, okay, we're going to weld up a trailer. Essentially it's just a big-ass picture frame. We're going to weld opposite corners. We're going to weld top left, bottom right, top right, bottom left because, the heat distribution. If we weld one area, it's going to pull in. If we weld the other, it's going to pull in, but it's also going to push out on the other side. Now we're maintaining square.
Most of the time, that works and works very well.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time.
I don't know what it is, but apparently I've violated something along the way, and I've done that. Man, I must have done something. It's like everything is beautiful, it's square, and all of a sudden it
turns into a potato chip.
One corner comes up, and goes down. What did I do wrong? I skip around. I like to skip around. I like to backstep weld.
Yes.
sequence of welds. I like to stop on top of starts. I do not like to end a terminator weld out to the edge of something. You know, that's a number one. Go ahead and put a tack down there, or a big old spot. You can end on that mass, you know. Like you got an outside corner joint on your table or in your vise or something. It's fairly thin metal.
Yeah.
You know you're going to stop down here at the bottom. You know you can make it all the way. Well, go ahead and put a little dot down there. That way when you get there, you're not blowing it up with a big old crater.
Mass on there. I do that a lot of times, but I'll weld backwards. You know, so if I typically weld right to, you know, depending on the process, if I'm pushing or pulling, I'll weld opposite so I don't blow that corner out.
Yeah. I got called up to Raytheon one time as a third party, and I had talked to these guys, bought some material from them in Derby, Kansas. They contracted a job inside Raytheon. It wasn't critical or anything. We're just moving. It's a conveyor to move jet engines. You know, those don't cost very much. You know, why? You know, going to the paint booth, whatnot. Their people rejected their work, and they wanted me to come in. Wondered why. I walk in the door, and I'm nowhere near what I need to look at, but I can already see it. The guy says, "You need a man lift?" No, it's okay. I don't want to go up there. What do you mean? I said, "I can see it from here. You guys are doing beam work on this conveyor system, and you terminated your welds at the edge of at the flange. You blew out and no wonder these guys have a right to reject your work. Come on, show some craftsmanship here." We had a big training seminar back in their shop. You just don't do stuff like that. No compression loads. All we're doing is moving stuff. It's not in any kind of tension. It's just compression loads, but still, vibration, cyclical loading. We don't want to drop an engine. Gee whiz, come on. I look back on my education. I'm fortunate that I went through the classes that I did, physics, and paid attention, and chemistry. It's all relevant and it applied. What boggles my mind is it's like kids refuse to know things these days.
Mm.
But they wonder why they can't get a job that pays them $25 an hour when they walk out. They want 30.
Mm.
They want the paycheck, but they don't want to do the work. They don't have the ethics. I think that's sad. I don't want to sound negative. I want to sound positive. I'm trying to encourage people to know some things. Personally, I would feel guilty if I joined your crew and I didn't know crap from good grade apple butter. I couldn't do my math. What good am I? I personally have the conscience. I feel guilty. If you're paying me that kind of money, I should know stuff I should be able to contribute. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't have to tell me. You shouldn't have to tell me a lot of things. I'm paying attention enough that I know what you're doing. I know what you need next. I'm going to go ahead and grab the extension cord and unravel it. I'm going to bring it your direction. You don't have to harp at me.
Versus scrolling your TikTok.
It saves you time. At the end of the day, we're all less stressed, you know. I don't know what it is with people these days. They have no vision. They have no
foresight.
Yeah, they have no foresight. Thank you. How do you spell that, by the way?
Correctly.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I always, as an apprentice, I would watch, and I'm a visual and hands-on learner. Yeah, and I think most welders are. But get out there on the job site and watch that journeyman. What is he doing? What does he need to do his job?
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, okay, next step, we got everything set up. We're going to need the extension cord out because I can see the grinder over there. He's not going to be able to plug it into air. Run that extension cord out. Get that thing set up. Okay, we need to put a new wheel on it. Start thinking ahead. I don't know how many other welders do this. Maybe you could shed some light on this. I would get, on a job site, and we're working on it that day. And, at the end of the day, I had a really good idea what needed to happen the next day. So the drive home, and that's another thing I want to talk about, before we're done here. But on the drive home, I've always had a 45-minute drive home or more. During that entire drive home, I'm thinking about what steps do I need to take to increase my efficiency the next day.
Yeah. What?
Okay, we got to hang a beam. Okay, so if we're going to hang the beam, the first thing I need to do when I get out there, pop open the gang box. I need to get the correct rigging and, the chain fall, block, and tackle, everything that we need to set that beam. I got to get, we got to prep the joint before we send it up in the air. So I got to roll out the oxyacetylene lead, put a bevel on there, clean it up, go ahead, tack the backing bar in there, if we're going to make a splice or, whatever the case may be. Foresight. You think about this stuff, and that's what I would do on the ride home. And while I'm laying in bed at night, I'm putting a building together, or assembling, the piece that I have to fabricate the next day, and thinking about, how am I going to build this? Like, I'd build things 2 or 3 times in my head before I walked into work the next day.
You get into these situations like, what bullshit did I step in today that
I can avoid tomorrow?
Yeah, that I could avoid tomorrow.
Yeah.
Exactly. But to me, I can be doing something, and I have 2 or 3 students standing right next to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't get it because I'm trying to hold on to maybe 2 things. I see me struggle.
They'll just sit there and watch.
Yeah,
watch
exactly.
You struggle.
They watch you drown, man.
Be like, damn, that piece looks like it's getting ready to fall.
Hey,
I hope he can catch
help
it
me
in
out
time.
here, will you please?
Yeah.
You know, that or I'll just drop it and lay down. I'm dead. I've had enough. And they'll still stand there and look at you like, it boggles my mind. What are they looking at? What are they thinking? I mean, I'm doing something for you. I'm building your product. Why can't you help me? I don't know. It sounds like I'm negative and I'm bitching all the time, but
I think this is
it's
stuff
going on.
This is something that somebody's listening to this show needs to hear, and they're like, "Oh shit!"
Oh, they're probably going right on, man. That guy knows what he's talking about.
Like, "Oh, that's shit. That's me."
If that's your son, I'm sorry. I just chewed his butt out. But God dang it, pay attention for crying out loud. You know, you know that we've used the grinder to prep our pipe. We've used it to grind out our root pad. We're putting the cap on now.
Mm-hmm.
When we get done with the cap, we're not grinding anymore. Why don't you go ahead and change the damn thing into a wire wheel that you need when, after it's done.
Or while you're waiting for that pass to cool, do something productive instead of busting out your phone and scrolling the gram or checking out TikTok.
God. Oh, it's crazy.
Like, I walk into a booth all the time and I'm like, what are you doing? I'm waiting for my weld to cool.
Yeah, right.
Well, we got a quench tank over there that you helped build.
Coupon cooler.
Filled with water. Yeah, the coupon cooler. Like, take your piece down. I mean, it's not a test. Go quench it and put it back up in there and get some more weld time.
Oh, man, it's fascinating, the mentality. I'm glad that I did not grow up in this era. Of course, I think I was born in the wrong one. I got a kick out of this. I had this kid down from Minnesota he's an athlete. He's running track. His booth area was like halfway down the whole section of student booths. And he was meticulous. He worked. I've given him that. But he would make these mistakes occasionally. Like, I would go to the office right when class ended and go answer an email and make a phone call. I'd come back through. I'm going to lunch. I glance down that row. There's a dustpan and a pile of dirt right in the middle of the floor. I just smile. I mean, I'd take a picture of it. I'd show it to him the next day. Really? What were you thinking about? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Bobby. I'll get it next time, Well, one day I got a kick out of it. There's a kid clear in the back. He's against the wall. He's leaning back against the wall. He's comfortable. He ain't doing nothing. He's on his phone. And the gentleman I just got through mentioned, he was about halfway. Well, I'm going to get the attention of the guy clear at the back. He's farting off, and I want him. He's mine. It's fair game. This guy's working. I barked. I went, hey, real loud. It scared the shit out of this kid here. I'm videotaping it. It scared the shit out of this kid here. He jumped and flinched. He dropped a piece of plate. The other one is he looked up. I said, hook up. Hook up. Like, let's get busy. He keeps looking up above. He's looking up the ceiling. I didn't say look up. I said hook up. I mean, you talk about a huge disconnect.
Get your shit together, Slick.
I finally said, just go ahead and do what you want. I got nothing here. I can't get him to motivate. So
that's going back to, I said I wanted to talk about the ride home. As I get, I don't know if you have the same problem out there in Kansas City, or Arc City. But you get students that are like, oh, that's too far away from my house. I don't want to go work there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what do you got in your local area?
Yeah, where are you going to go?
Yeah, what do you got in your area? Oh, well, they don't want to pay. Well, what are you going to do there, Slick? Yeah. Like, since I got out of the Marine Corps in 2005, and I have not had a one-way commute less than 45 minutes. Yeah. I mean, as a matter of fact, when I got into structural steel ironwork, it was literally 48 minutes door to door.
Jason, that's not just the trade. That's blue. That's white collar. That's everything. Yeah. It happens.
I mean, you got to go where the work's at, or you got to move closer to where you're working. And even when I worked for Weld.com, it was 2.5 hours one way.
God, yeah, I used to.
I mean, that's for a year. I did 2.5 hours one way, and sometimes 3-4 on the ride home. You got to go where the work's at. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you got to sacrifice.
I recently rebuilt the old rigid pipe cutter. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Squeezy job. We're not talking about a 535 threader here. We're talking about the hand squeezy job. I'm rebuilding this thing, and it dawns on me that I've been acquainted with this tool since I was 12 years old. Trust me. That dirt that's packed in there is Osage County. That's probably me. I don't know.
You put it in there.
I took it all apart. I chiseled all that crap out of there. I dropped the pins. I lubed everything up. It's beautiful. It cuts stainless steel pipe. It's beautiful. Trust me. It'll walk right through it. It takes a while. I remember cutting a lot of oil field pipe at 105 degrees when it's, Dad and I worked in the oil field. I worked for him when I was little. We'd leave the house. It was 45, 60 miles to Winona, Oklahoma in Osage County. That's our first stop. We keep going. We're going clear down by Hominy, Skytook. We're down by Tulsa now. We're 2 hours away from the house, 100-something miles in the heat. We had a 260 model air conditioner in the pickup.
2 windows down, 60 mile an hour.
3/4 ton, no extended cab. It had the wing window on it, man. I get in high school. We're going to work one morning. I was overserved the night before. I wasn't awake yet.
Overserved.
I was freaking hung over, man, bad. I remember that wing window being open like this, and I heard this click. And we're going through, like, Christensen's ranch down in Osage County. It's a big ranch. I hear this click. It's a bee. Why is the bee now stinging me on the cheek, waking me up? I thought that was unfair, My dad's sitting over there. Yeah, I'll wake your ass up. Teach you to go out and drink, Oh, man. Just things happen to you. Chiggers get bug bite. We had to put sulfur on our ankles, and it's brutal. It's brutal.
Sounds horrible growing up in.
But that's a long drive home.
Mm-hmm.
A long drive home, especially when you've been sweating. There's some stench factor in the cab of the truck. Your dad's over there smoking this pipe tobacco called Mixture 79. I didn't know what it was. It stunk.
Sounds pleasant.
I hit him one day. I said, "What is that?" He said, "Mixture 79." I said, "Got to be 79% tobacco. 21% horse shit. It stinks, Dad. It gives me a headache." I started buying him quality pipe tobaccos for Christmas. He thought, "Wow, that's cool. That's good stuff there."
That's good shit right there, Maynard.
Oh, I mean, you talk about stink, man. It's bad. It had a white can, bunch of lacy letters and stuff all over it. Mixture 79. The cans made great bolt bins and bolt cans and stuff. God, it stunk. I hated that stuff.
That's the worst part is when you're out there all day and you're like sweating.
Oh, man.
And then at the end of the day on the ride home, you can just feel that sting in your
metal
eyes.
Insulated GOT coolers? And you remember those?
No, I think that was before my time. I had Igloo when I was a kid.
Well, Igloo, same thing. The lid on them fit pretty damn tight, but they were thick metal outside, encased in metal on the outside. My dad and I buy a solid block of ice, and it lasts like a couple of days because those are damn quality coolers. They're insulated. They're good. But we'd finish one of those and maybe fill it up again. Maybe piss once during the day. I mean, that's how hot it was. And that's how much water you're drinking. You're out there and exposed to the elements, and you're, if somebody came along with a pipeliner's cloud back in those days, we'd probably. I mean, there's a quality product right there.
Right. I'll tell you one thing. If you want to keep your drinks cool, especially down there in Florida, what I used to do is I had like this old rinky-dink Coleman cooler. I mean, it wasn't anything special. One of the cheap ones you get at Walmart. But it was a big 32-quart cooler.
That's big.
Get 5 pounds of dry ice. Yep. And get it right there at the public supermarket. But you get 5 pounds of dry ice. You get 10 pounds of regular ice. Put the dry ice in the cooler first. Throw the ice on top of it. And then you put like all your sports drinks and waters and stuff like that. I could load that. I could fill my cooler up on Sunday afternoon. And Friday after work at 5 o'clock, I could have a cold drink out of that same cooler.
Now, what's going on with the dry ice down first? What's going on with that?
Put the dry ice down first, because if you put the dry ice down and then you put the drinks on top and then your ice on top of it, it actually freezes your drinks. So you put the layer of ice down on top of the dry ice, and that creates a layer of insulation, because the dry ice, I think it's like negative 200 degrees C or negative 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and then you put the regular ice on top of it, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. it actually creates a layer of insulation.
Dry ice is that cold?
It's cold as shit.
Get out of here.
I'd have to pull up the stats.
man.
I'd have to pull up the stats. But it's that layer of regular ice
Right.
creates a barrier of insulation so it doesn't freeze your drinks.
You know, I got all the respect for you. You went through the Marine Corps, and you're into scouting now.
I did scouting for a little bit.
Did you do scouts at a young age?
So it's 109, negative 109.
I knew you'd full of crap in that number, minus 200 something.
It sounds a lot.
That's like
late.
liquid nitrogen, man. Come on.
All right.
But you did scouts and stuff.
Yeah, when I was a
at a
kid.
young age. So did I. I think that, and I had an old time Indian for a scoutmaster. And
I did Indian guides too.
huh?
I did Indian guides too.
Oh yeah. There's some knowledge right there. There's some
yeah.
respect right there, and I think that was instilled on me. I help people. It's no big deal for me to help people, and I don't want anything for it. I'm not seeking praise. I don't need that.
No, you just help people out because it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do, exactly. And hey, I'll take where I need to take with me. If it made me feel good, you'll never know it. I can be having the worst day of all time, trust me, and you may not know it. And that's just the way I am. But you do things the right way. You help people out, but these we had a down by Cleveland, Oklahoma that's where our troop thing was, the big camp jamborees and whatnot. Number one, there's some bad storms roll through Oklahoma. We kind of took pride whenever we got hit by a big storm. The chances are our tents were the only ones that are going to be standing the next morning because our scoutmaster had taught us the correct way to weather the storms. You loosen the straps, you certain knots and ropes and stuff. This guy would take us out with bare nothing and make us survive. And you respect that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But I had a friend that his family friend. He brought some stuff up from Tulsa and dropped it off. It was in old styrofoam. The old styrofoam coolers. That's one hell of a cooler, I'm telling you. You put that inside of a box or wooden box, put a blanket around the outside of that. That's going to keep ice for a long time. Mm. And, everybody's going gaga over these expensive coolers. They're good, don't get me wrong, but, why weren't we making them that way a long time ago? Mm. What the heck? Put the insulation around there. I don't need to spend $700 on something that's going to keep my beer cold for a while.
Right.
Because I know how to keep it cold for a while already and not spend $700. I got a kick out of my brother. He came back from Padre one time. He's out cruising around with his buddy in a Jeep, open Jeep. Guy had a 6-pack in the console. Padre, summertime, hot. They're cruising along. He reaches down and grabs a beer, and he offers it to my brother. He goes, "You want beer?" He goes, "I don't want that nasty old hot beer." He goes, "Yeah, nobody else does either. That's why I always got beer." I mean, you get used to it. You appreciate it.
Right.
It's what you do,
I think going back just to, like, helping people, like, it comes back to you. Like, there I was the other day. I want to say it was last Wednesday. Driving down the road, and I've got that stupid auto start, auto stop. If you got a newer vehicle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As soon as you pull up to a red light or a stop sign, the car shuts off, and then it starts back up.
I noticed that.
And it's freaking. Oh man, I hate it.
Yeah, I was kind of getting concerned there.
I got my car. It's 3 years old, right? And it's in Florida. Like, a battery only lasts for about maybe 2 years at best. So I got 3 years out of this thing.
Is it?
No, it's not a hybrid.
No, but that's
it's this new emissions thing, and I think by 2024, all the cars are supposed to be switching over to this stupid eco-friendly shit, whatever it is. But I pull up, and the car shuts off, and it doesn't restart. So I was like, oh, damn. Well, put it in park, try to fire the car up again. Doesn't fire up. Now
it's running.
I'm sitting. No, it won't fire back up.
It's dead? Okay.
I put it in park, try to start it back up again. Nothing. And I'm like, shit, I'm at a busy intersection. So, I'm like, damn, what am I going to do? Like, go to the back, pop, get my jumper cables out, hook them up. And before I'm done hooking them up, some, like, old lady in a Mercedes rolls right up and just, like, parks perfect. She goes, do you need some help, sir?
Probably popped the hood already.
I said, yes, ma'am, I do. And she goes, she pops the hood, and I hook everything up. She doesn't even have to get out of that car, right?
Like a good pit stop.
It was perfect. And, like, cars are already backing up. Yeah. And I already, like, every time, like, I'm driving down the road, and I see this happen. I'm like, son of a bitch, like I got to shift
it's
lanes and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to be the asshole that's holding everybody else up from getting home.
You're pre-cringing.
Yeah. And like literally, I was there for like 3 minutes. Like by the time I realized I couldn't get my car started, hooked up the jumper cables, somebody was already there to help me. So I think that's the cool thing.
That makes you want to pay it back, pay it forward,
exactly.
doesn't it?
And then I pull up, on my way to the Excel welding competition this morning. I was like, I need my coffee before I go anywhere. I hate going somewhere and like, you guys got coffee? Oh no, we don't have coffee.
About you. You like that double shot thing you used to get from
No.
Java.
Black coffee, straight black coffee. So I roll up to Dunkin' Donuts this morning. I get a extra large black coffee and a avocado toast with a bacon on there.
I don't want to know the second part.
You got to try this. It's freaking delicious. But anyway, I pull up, and the barkeep there, the register tender says, the car in front of you already paid for your order. Well, shit, that's pretty cool. I don't even know that car in front of me. Tell you what, let me pay for the car behind you. And she goes, well, their order is like $12 and some change.
Who gives a crap?
Like mine was only like $4, and I was like, well, yeah, that's fine. Like the person in front of me didn't know what the cost was going to be when they offered to pay mine. So everybody talks about how the world's going to hell in a handbasket. And it's like, you know what? There's still good. There's still good people out there, but that's not what's being highlighted in the media and social media and the news.
There's a problem right there. Stinking media.
Yeah, like you want to like make the world a better place. Turn your TV off for 20 minutes. You realize how bad it is. Just go out there.
I realized
and interact
a long time
with
ago
somebody.
I can survive without the media.
Yeah,
I really can. They can't survive without me.
Exactly.
They want to write crap about me. They don't even know anything about me except my name. How about that? Yeah, it's that's the mentality. That's why we carry on these conversations. It's easy to gripe about stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go out on comedy tour. I mean, you can laugh, you can hyperventilate about crap that happens to me. I will call myself out. It happened to me. It's funny, because it happens to a lot of other people. It's common stuff, but I can also motivate. I go out on a corporate speaking tour and tell people that you got a great product. You got some quality hands. You're going to get your butt kicked in the marketplace. Somebody can come in here and copy your stuff, and they're more organized and more efficient than you are because you guys are a bunch of you like what you do. You take a little bit of pride, but you're too lazy so far. Organize your work area. You're less stressful at the end of the day. And what do we do at the end of the day? Well, I guarantee you we're not going home and raising our kids. We don't have time for them. We're too busy reacting to everything else. It's like a reaction thing. Here lately, I had to deal with an internet provider. I'll just call them that, an internet provider. Very common one. We had a storm roll through, and it fried the power strip on my computer for my CNC plasma in the shop. I know that. I've just learned that here not too awful long ago. I wasn't looking at it. I know it didn't work, and I don't have time to mess with it. But even though I use that piece of equipment, but at home, now it's a different story. I need to support myself at home as well because I can work from home somewhat. My internet went down at home. Okay. Where? Why was that? Well, they come out and they identified it right away. And if it happens on the inside of your residence, then you're paying. Mm-hmm. On the outside, it's all them.
Right.
Well, mine was, let's just say it was inside, but it could have been called the outside, and that's the way he wrote it up because he's a cool dude. That's my tech. I guess it's because he liked my ribs that I was feeding him and whatnot. I sent him on down the road, and it was a minimal thing.
Makes
no
sense.
big deal. So it worked for like 3 minutes, and it's out again. I can't get him back for a long time. You can't call into this company. Their website is like a vicious cycle of nothing. It just comes back to itself. There's a lot of cell phone providers that's like that. It's like
can't get a hold of nobody anymore.
Well, it's like their website. They got into business and they patched everything that was wrong with their website. It just comes around. You don't get anywhere. It's the same damn recording, Anyway, it takes me the better part of 3 weeks to get another tech out. I know what the problem is. Trust me. And I'm a dumbass welder. That's what everybody says. But I know what the problem is. So they mailed me the modem, and we get this thing put in. I'm supposed to mail it back. Okay? Otherwise, eventually I'm going to pay
gonna
some
get
kind of
charged
a
for it.
penalty. Well,
Yeah.
why? Okay, if I'm supposed to mail it back, why don't you provide the damn mailing, the emailer thing? What do they call that thing?
Label?
RMD or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
give me the label. I'll be more than happy to. It takes me 2.5 months to get an email sent to me so that I can print it and put that piece of paper on the boxes, send them back their own damn modem. Otherwise, I'm going to get charged $150. Well, I ain't going to pay it. So we shut my account down. My account goes through the roof. It's like penalties. I've got like a gazillion dollars of charges. I need like $400 something dollars. Trust me, my internet's not coming back until I pay that. I can't get their attention any other way. That was the only way I could get their attention. I had to use them against themselves. But I suffered because I didn't have any service. Mm-hmm. I mean, this customer service, how hard would it have been to spend the 30 seconds to send me the damn email or listen to what I had to say?
Yeah.
I don't
Pick
understand
up when
that.
I call.
Let's troubleshoot your modem. Let's don't, because it doesn't work. I'm telling you, it's just a vicious cycle. But that happens so many times in customer service. Trust me, they don't want to hear from you.
Customer service is key, man.
It
like
doesn't
anything
exist
that
in
I
most
buy,
things. You could make millions of dollars if you paid attention to your customers, but it really doesn't exist. These companies have made $1 million something going the other way. They have banked on the fact that you're going to get bored and hang up because you've got other things to do. That's what they've done, really. Yeah. I think, and it's sad. If I had customers, I couldn't do that. I couldn't mathematically say, "Oh, shit, Jason will hang up here in about 5 minutes. I don't want to talk to him anyway."
I'll tell you one company that used to do that all the time was the damn VA. Veterans Affairs, man.
Yeah,
I would literally call when I left Orlando. I was working in Tampa building airplane hangars. I would call them when I left, and maybe by the time I got to I-275, somebody would answer. Or somebody would pick up, and then all of a sudden the line got cut loose. Now I got to call them again. Well, son of a bitch. Yeah. That's a call for tomorrow because now I'm 20 minutes away from the job site. I ain't got time to sit on hold for another 2 hours.
There you go. It's sad, but some of it can be comical. It's just I'm concerned the way we're heading, and that right there, media doesn't have anything to do with. But I'll blame it on the media anyway.
There you go. You might as well.
Kidding. What was that thing I was going to show you?
It's hard to say, man.
I'm telling you, it was beautiful. It was cool. I had this guy write me with a question about bonding copper in an application. Come on, man. I know I found this. I got to go through and I got to look at. It might even been in
copper tube
requests.
thing you were talking about earlier.
Huh?
That copper tube thing you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, but it's the site that he sent me to. He made reference to this site, and it was initials. It was like RNCB, something about remote-controlled aircraft stuff, but it also had these other builds. Mm-hmm. Somebody listening, probably the guy that wrote this article, I want to call him out because he dogged himself down about his content, saying it wasn't worthy. I'm going, come on, dude. Your stuff's good. It's spot on. What I found somewhat comical about it was this guy's asking a question. He made reference to this site, so I'm going to go look the site up to help maybe find the answer. And clearly on this site it says, "Do not attempt to build this baby boiler thing, this retro thing. Don't try to replicate it or in any way." So we're building this boiler. And
right.
I
so now we got to try it.
I'm going, I've seen so many comedians do this. They stop and they say, we're not supposed to be doing this. And to answer the question, we are going to build it. It was a true application, and it is a tough problem. When you're doing a whole sheet of copper, the heat absorption and everything else.
Copper's a tricky metal to work with.
Oh man, you gotta get some power. You gotta put it in there.
Copper is a great material if you want to fill a hole on like steel.
I always carry
copper backing and all that stuff.
I always carry a chunk of brass, copper,
brass,
something.
copper.
I gave somebody a
doing
chunk
like
the other day. They looked at me like, "What?"
Doing like thin gauge stainless or anything like that. Yeah. Throw a copper backing on there, man.
Absolutely.
It just pulls that heat out of there.
I saw another really cool application here recently, and it was formed corners on like perf plate or expanded metal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we use those, and they're not perfect. They're not going to be perfect. You got to fill that in, because that corner is your strength. Well, think about it. You can go in there and lace that, build that up a little bit, sand it back down. And you got something to work with.
We had a company we did a tour with, because I like to take my students on tours so they can actually see a tour. We took them on a tour through this company, and one of the things they manufacture is bus bars. And so I told the guy that was taking us on the tour for the students, because on one side they do electrical, on the other side they do welding, and they like this big old pile of scrap bus bars. And I said, man, I could use probably like 10, 15 of those pieces of copper. And the guy's like, yeah, I bet you could. He's thinking like scrap metal prices. And I was like, no, they work great for heat sinks.
Oh,
and like
yeah,
I started explaining the application, and he's like, oh, hold on. He goes over and talks to the guy, and he's like, hey, he says something to him, and then we continue on the tour. Well, after the tour, he walks up with this cardboard box and hands it to me, and this thing's like 50 pounds.
Huh, at least, yeah.
And it's got like 10 pieces of 4x4 by 1 inch copper in there. And I mean, the damn thing weighs like 30, 40 pounds. I mean, it's heavy as hell. And he goes, here you go. Here's your boom. And caught me by surprise. But we've been using those for 4 or 5 years now in the welding program as heat sinks for different types of like really thin gauge, like 035, 040 stainless.
Oh man,
and it works
paper thin,
freaking perfect.
I look at that stuff, I blow a hole in it.
Yeah, I mean we dial it down to about 35, 40 amps. Throw that copper backing bar in there, one on the bottom, one on the top for a lap joint. Put a third hand on top of it, sandwich it in between there, and just like throw the freaking coals to it.
Yeah.
And dab the filament. You got to go quick. But it comes out perfect, and the material at the end of the day, when they're done welding it, it's not warped. Everything's tied in nice and smooth. You got a nice little fillet weld in there because the copper acts as a great heat sink for this.
I noticed some people are making tools. They take that concept and they know it, and they make and market a tool for their select audience and whatnot. I'm going, that's good. That's good stuff right there. Mm-hmm. They use the copper concept and whatnot. Man, I'll tell you what, I'm fascinated. The power of social media is just phenomenal. Used correctly.
Right.
I like to joke around. God, I know I want to find this thing. It's gonna bother me.
You're gonna wake up at 2:00 in the morning and be like, "Damn, that's the guy."
I may not go that. I'll tell you what, I haven't had much sleep here lately. I gotta.
Well, no, you missed your flight last night and then had to roll in this morning. That seems to be a common theme there.
Who in the hell is Ram Nation 58? He wrote a message to himself.
Never heard of that guy.
I'll tell you what, I got to do notes to myself. I see something cool, I got to save it somehow.
You know how many times I've sent a text message to myself?
Oh, yeah.
And then I forget to check it out later, and it's like, oh, shit, that was a key piece of information I needed.
I joke with people, and I'm going, you're Jason with Fireball Tool. Oh, the dude is like, ideas
smart.
Are just exuding. They're dripping off of him. They have to. And in Chicago, I was joking with him. I said, when's your most creative moments? Like sitting on the toilet at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, taking care of your business. You think of something. I remember that.
Yeah.
Bullshit. I used to drive home. I'd leave the office or something, and it'd be just things come to you in weird times and ways, and you take for granted. You drive along, you have this brilliant idea, and you go, oh hell, I remember that.
Yeah,
horse shit. 3 texts later and 2 phone calls. You pull in your driveway and you're going, what was I thinking about?
Yeah.
And you can't recall it. Then the pressure of recalling it, that's even worse. It's not going to come back to you.
That's called
so I designed
attention
something.
Deficit disorder, Bob.
Well, we all have it.
Yeah,
I'm just suffer more than others, but everybody on the planet has ADD.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the drugs are not going to do it. That's another thing I'm fascinated about.
Drugs?
If and when better living through chemistry, I always say. If and when I do go to the doctor's office, you pick up any magazine, what do you see?
It's all drugs.
Drug ads.
Yeah.
There's comedians that have made jokes about it, but there's really no joke. It's there. They're making money off their jokes. We're not. But, you read, here's a condition. Well, they got a drug for it over here.
Oh, yeah. It's going to cause
the side
irritable bowel
effects-
syndrome and
The side effects are more than what
Anal
you got.
leakage.
Yeah, anal
Yeah.
seepage, and who did that? Jeff Foxworthy
Yeah.
and some of those guys.
who the hell wants anal
Yeah,
leakage?
who wants that? You know, seriously.
I'd rather deal with
Everybody
depression.
has ADD, and what they do to school kids that had ADD?
Adderall,
Well, they gave 'em
Vyvanse,
speed.
Wellbutrin. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what we got was a belt
Yeah.
across our head. They tuned us up. Said, hey, here's your tune up.
Here's your ADD medicine.
Here's your ADD
Whack.
medicine. You know, everybody has it to some condition or some level. It's, you know, what you call it, whatever you want.
Mhm.
It's everywhere. Trust me, it's there.
Yeah. Now, going back to Jason Marburger with Fireball Tools, did you see he's got the you've seen the Legas square, right? It's
What?
the Legas square. It's a 2-inch wide combination square. You know, combination square with the slide rule and all that stuff. You can hit a 45-degree angle and a 90-degree angle.
Right.
He's got one that's probably about 3 inches wide, and it's made out of cast steel. And this thing probably weighs like 5 pounds. He hasn't released it yet.
He took the La Square and modified it?
He took the Le Square, but
I
he's
have
made
the
it
La
like
Square. I like it.
I bought a Le Square, and then I bought the one from Kinetic Customs. The guys over in the UK
Right.
that build like really cool custom blacksmith timey
Telling you,
stuff.
there's some cool stuff.
They built
over
some
in-
really cool shit.
Yeah.
But so Jason Marburger's made one that's probably, like I said, 3 inches wide, and it's probably about 3 to 4, maybe 5 pounds. I mean, it's a heavy beast, but you can set it on your table. And you know how like you put your combination square up and you're trying to square something up and you bump into it and it knocks
Right.
over?
Right.
This thing is not going to tip over.
Yeah, is that when you're trying to hold everything and your students are standing right next to you and won't
That's
help?
exactly-
Yeah.
yeah.
See me suffer.
Yeah, exactly.
suffer.
That's it's called the See Me Suffer Square.
Yeah.
No, it's not what it is. But he's getting ready to release it. I'm not sure exactly when the timeline is, but he showed it at FabTech, and it, like you were saying, like he's just comes up with so many cool tools.
Well, I said, dude, I'm gonna send you something. Remember we interviewed him in 2019 in Chicago. What did he give us?
Dominion squares.
Yeah. I told my nephew, I said, there's no way I'm going through security. You might as well just sit down over here and watch. I'm gonna get interrogated. I remember the guy. Well, that's when a gentleman stepped up. You know, I had several people get a hold of me. Would you try my TIG torch? Would you test it for me? I said, yes, I will. But here's what I need you to do. Get a hold of Travis Fields.
Yeah.
He's going through 5 a day. He's roasting them. He's doing Schedule 80 stainless, 60-inch, whatever. The guy's suffering, you know. And I said, go take care of him first. Once you conquer his problems and successfully you own the world, then you can come back and give me a gentleman tapped me on the shoulder and said, I'm pretty sure you earned this. I like to make product referrals that are corrected fit if we can do it. But anyway, so I had TIG torch, I had those squares. The dude at airport security at O'Hare said, what's in here? And I said, a trade show. Where are we going? Man, I've been yanked over so many times. And I've been yanked over for stuff that when we get done, it's like, are you serious with that? You just pulled a wooden token out of my bag that has shanks and other pieces that could be used as weapons, and all you want is a wooden token from Tumbleweed Dance Hall in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I've been looking for that, by the way. I want to use it as a ball mark. I couldn't believe it. I mean,
I'll tell you what,
it's crazy what you get yanked for.
You really want to get messed with by TSA? Take a 3M Speed Glass G502 through security.
What is it?
The 3M G502, the Speed Glass hood.
Oh, yeah.
I just bought it and went up to Cleveland, Ohio, hanging out with my buddy Ryan Eubank at the Welding Educators Workshop.
Right.
And I took that G502 through, and going through security, every checkpoint we went through, I got stopped.
Really?
And they searched my bag every
Because they hadn't
single
seen one.
time.
Or
because of, I guess, the technology that's in this freaking hood is TSA.
well,
does
maybe
not
that's
like
how
it.
TSA helped me lose my driver's license in Oklahoma City when I was going to Wyoming because they hadn't
I
seen
heard
a
about that. You
carbon
just
fiber
headed up
sugar
to
scoop.
see
with the
guys
flare
over
on the bottom. People ask me,
Western
what's that
Welding
flare
Academy.
for? I say, it's to shield sparks from going down your chest when you're in a bad place. You protect your beard.
That's what I
My
need.
favorite is it's for cranial stability at high speeds. They're going, huh?
What?
Listen to me out of your good eye. You know, come on. No, seriously, they disappeared with my sugar scoop. Went around the corner.
Oh yeah, they hide from you. They will not. They don't let me watch what they're doing.
They come
in my bag.
back. Well, of course, I'm in a hurry. I don't, and so my driver's license is gone. I noticed it when I was checking into the hotel in Gillette, Wyoming.
I noticed it when you were checking in the hotel this evening.
God love those boys up there at Western Academy. They didn't fly me into Gillette Hair Care and Tire Center. They flew me into Rapid City, South Dakota, and from there it's a 2-hour drive across their social media guy come up and pick me up. So, as an education, he's a fine gentleman.
Right.
He's a young guy. Good at his craft.
I'm supposed to go see those guys probably sometime in April between them and KWI and the Western Welding Academy. Go check out their welding competition.
I'll tell you what, I was damn impressed with the crew that showed up there. Those kids had guts and drive, and I want to drive up there. I want to take something and be part of the, support them somehow, some way. It's a good group. I'm telling you. Man, I'm going to sit here and grind this out. I'll probably find it when I walk away. I'll be going down.
Shoot me a DM there.
Huh?
Shoot me a DM when you find it.
Now, here's somebody I run across. I got to give this gentleman a shout out. You mentioned the Europeans and their tools and whatnot. And I've seen some of his posts. Now, here's a young man that he sent me a slap from across the pond. He's like the first one. Mm. And the note that came with it, I sat down at my desk and reading this thing, and about made me cry. I put it right in the middle of my sugar scoop, and this gentleman and I, we joked about. I want to send this sugar scoop to him. We joked about, man, if hoods could tell stories. This sumbit's been around. It's been in the ditches. It's been places. But I'd send it to him. Actually, I want to hand deliver it to him. I want to go to Ireland and absorb a little of the culture and the beer and whatnot. I want to watch this guy work. He's a hell of a hand. It's Johnny Burke, Johnny's Welder. Johnny's Weld. He's the first one to really sit and pay the respects of. He said, "What you're doing is like cool. There's a bunch of us over here that appreciate that." And I've always been respectful of the Europeans and their ability, their nickel-based alloys and stainless and stuff. Some of those old companies, they've made some quality electrodes and filler metals and stuff. In the meantime, we're trying to weld with stuff that doesn't necessarily like it to be welded with. Johnny Burke. I thought it was a cool slap, but I just want to give the hood back to him. I want to give it to him.
Right.
Got his on there. There's an identity feud going on at the time of people's slaps on certain hoods or whatever. So I retired it. Mm. I took it out. I still wear it sometimes, but I took it away. It wasn't on camera anymore. I didn't want to try to avoid the hassle and whatnot. So I got a brand new one. We did an unboxing. You remember how you throw plastic over your arm and kick the box and stuff like that. I put 2 slaps on it, and I slapped them. Remember that? Mm-hmm. There was an issue with that one too. I give up. I'm sorry.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 That was
freaking drama.
No, I'm telling you.
That's J3 Weld Fab from over there in the UK. He's another cool dude.
Oh, J3?
Yeah, check him out. That's
okay.
David Grunshaw. Super cool dude. He sent me this cube challenge.
The
I think
laser cut type deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really thin gauge stainless steel, but so Man Cub and I were supposed to do like a head-to-head battle on this really thin cut, precision cut, stainless steel.
I think I remember you two throwing down on that deal.
Who could build this? But all of a sudden, like one set of these cubes disappeared. So now we can't do a weld challenge because we only have one set. But he mailed them out. Super cool dude. Chatting with him a little bit on Instagram. I'd love to get out to UK and Ireland and weld with some of those guys.
That's why I want to find this article because it alludes to the fact that there's so much good stuff going on that people don't know about because they don't have their stuff on YouTube. Not everybody's got their stuff going on out on social media.
Who's the other dude?
And I agree with the guy. So everything about it, except for he's trying to dog himself out, and you don't need to qualify yourself to me, man. I can see quality work. I know what you're doing. We've made videos that just are kind of questionable of content, or maybe the camera guy missed an edit or whatever. It's not going to be perfect every time. And as I said earlier, there's people running successful channels with their phone alone.
Yeah.
You know, come on. We invest in equipment that we like, that's easy to shoot and get quality results. But I'm telling you, there's people around. It's not us.
Mm-hmm.
It don't have anything to do with us. You know, yes, we did some things to open some doors and expose some. I stand behind anybody. You know, I am not the best welder in the world. Never have been. I don't know everything. I don't claim to. Never have. I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
And if I learn something from you by answering your question, guess what? I get to pass it on over here, maybe, you know?
That's the coolest thing, because, like, people reach out to me, whether it's students or through a DM or, like, an old comment on a YouTube channel. If I don't know the answer,
I'm curious enough to look it up.
You've piqued my interest. Now I'm going to go research it on both our behalves.
I'm the same way, man.
And we're going to learn along the way. Or if it's one of my students, I've got a library. And you and I have talked about this, because you were talking about the Encyclopedia Welding. You've got one from like the 1920s. But I'll pull a student right over to my office. We'll grab, the code book, the spec, or, the whatever, and pull it up and say, I don't know the answer to your question, but I know where to find it.
There you go.
And Albert Einstein said the same thing. It's like, why would I bother memorizing something when I can just remember where to find it?
You know, one of my students tried to do that one day, and it backfired on him.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's a month from graduating, and I popped a decimal quiz on him. He wrote 3 of them down, a quarter, a half, and 3/4. He said he could look the rest of them up. He didn't need to know them. No, that's the wrong stuff. You do need to memorize that part. You got to function.
Right.
Anyway, it backfired on him. We played a little game, and he lost. There's certain things that you want to know, and there's other things. At least know where you found it.
Mm-hmm.
I have some guys that are high up in. One of them's in Matheson. Has been with them for a long time. The people that older people in companies. Why is it if a company gets bought out or something, they're the first ones they fire?
Yep.
Well, they're the only ones that knows what's going on. Why'd you fire them?
Exactly.
Anyway, I keep those guys in my pocket. They know that when I'm calling, I'll call them multiple times a year just to say hi. But if I call and I say, I got one for you, they know that I have already exhausted about everything else that I have at my availability, and they're my last resource. Guess what? They're going to go look it up if they have resources too. So it's like a chain. It gets back to that. Take care of those that care and share. If you care enough to get it right, it all comes around. Yeah, it all comes around. You're going to benefit from it. Virginia and I were talking when she was racing through the trees today. We had a good conversation in between gears. We're talking about wealth. And I said, some people incorrectly measure wealth in valuable goods and whatnot, money and all that stuff. And I don't try to. I've had a lot of things taken away from me that I've worked for and invested. And I don't like that. And I don't want it to happen to anybody else.
Mm.
Is it going to ruin my life? It set me back. I'm not going to let it bother me so much that I'm going to go out and shoot the person that did it, although I'd sometimes like to. It's not going to make it right.
Right.
Anyway, I don't like investing in something long term, then have it some incompetent person come along and do something and automatically. God, really? Can they get away with that? Why is that? But anyway, we're talking about wealth. And, I used to shoot a lot of live events and music and stuff. And concerts.
Ted Nugent.
Yeah, I shot old Teddy. He's a character, man. He'll wear you out playing the guitar. There's a lot of country artists that'll do the same thing. They'll wear you out. They play hard, and the riffs and the solos, and I mean, you just go. You'll leave the place going, wow, that was a workout.
Mm.
But one of them was Mark Wills. I remember going down to Oklahoma City and photographing Mark Wills one night at an In Cahoots, and there's a song out that he does, and when Virginia and I started talking about that, I was thinking to myself, I know that song. It's just it has to do with I'm a rich man. And it has to do with your friends and your kids and everything. It's how you look at your life and what you're blessed with. I have too many tools. I've acquired them through my dad. I've invested in a lot of them. Are they too many? Am I going to give some of them away? Damn right I am. I already have. I had a gentleman that wants to start a school, private, do some boot camp stuff, and I want to help him because I want to be a part of it. Do I want anything for it? No, not necessarily. I mean, you better start cooking. No, this guy brings down recipes. It's a network, is what it is.
Yeah,
I want to be a part of the network. I could be starving. He'd take care of me. I'll guarantee he would. Not because I gave him tools and stuff to help him out to get started, because, again, it's the right thing to do. And those are the people that we want to associate with. Mm-hmm. I'm going to find this, and I'm going to demand that you get me back on this. But no, I have to find it because I have to pay respect to this guy.
Back on here.
He wrote it, and he wrote it correctly. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, a lot of us live by it. Again, his information was so spot on, but I had to laugh, Do not build this boiler. Do not attempt to replicate.
So that's exactly what we're going to do on today's episode.
So we're doing this.
Yeah.
Now we got to figure out how to bond it. I'm to the point where I think the correct answer to do this, I haven't mocked it up. I don't know the thicknesses and the sizes, but I'm playing around with a couple things that people have custom things that it's their trademark. Who has what, Rush Kane has a line of clothing, sleeves.
Yeah.
I got the short cap.
Yeah, I got the short cap.
He got Fireball Tool. We know his products are vast and deep, and the ideas are pouring through him. By the way, the product that I've talked about with him to capturing your ideas that seem to elude you are a simple miniature clipboard that goes across your knee. Mm. I haven't read a law yet that says you can't text while you're driving. Forget about the mailbox you just ran over, but you got to capture that idea. You're on the phone with customer service. They finally answer.
Yeah.
You got to write confirmation number down. Hey, wait, what are you doing? You don't have pen and pencil in your hand. If you're in your vehicle or you're at your fab table and something comes to you, use the aluminum clipboard, put it by your phone, transfer your notes into your phone. Do whatever. You got to put that down somehow. Yeah. I just found that they're the miniature clipboard. Everybody's got miniature legal pads. By the way, have you noticed what I'm writing on?
Miniature legal pad.
No, you didn't notice.
Well, I mean, it looks like it's cut in half.
No, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
It's landscape. When's the last time you saw one?
Never seen one.
Well, you're not going to see this one anymore. I'm going to close the book. No, seriously, I saw these in our bookstore, and I'm going, get the hell out of here with that.
I literally thought you cut one in half.
I'm left-hand. Who lefties? We don't necessarily write upside down. We write weird.
Different.
You guys have the benefit of the whole damn piece of paper across here. I don't. I got to start off the edge. I'm out here in space. See me suffer.
Watch you suffer all night, Bob.
I guarantee you, I saw those, and I bought like 3 or 4 of them. They're $1.25 a piece. I started giving them away, and really, that's cool. Where'd you get it? I ain't telling you. I'm gonna go back and buy the rest of them.
Buy some more. I
may or may not give you another one. It's like sand plum jelly. If I get one to you and you like it,
I'm gonna charge you double the next time.
Yeah, I might get you one at Christmas time. Sand plum jelly is, the jelly. There's another thing. There's a dying art for you. People that cook, old people that cook and give stuff away, or kids that cook, anything food wise. That's a method of payment. Mm-hmm. I could do some work for you. You pay me in booze. That's cool. Or I can't count the times that somebody's come in at the back door of the college there and they go, "Can you fix this? It's an office chair. We know how they're made. We know where they're going to break. It's a spot weld somewhere. It takes longer to buff off the powder coat and to get all that stuff going, and then spot weld it takes like 0.2 seconds to get that to hold. And then you shoot it with some black paint. You're waiting longer for the paint to dry. Do you want anything for it? No. It's just what we do. Mm-hmm. The guy comes back the next day. He pays me with socks. Nike socks. He's a tennis coach. And Nike hat, the flat collapsible thing. It's comfortable products. You don't have to do that, man. Give me those socks. I appreciate that. Beer, brown beer. We got some beer connoisseurs on campus. You do some work for them. It's like, is your truck unlocked? No, but it will be.
Mm-hmm.
Great, I'm going to bring you a dozen eggs. 6-pack of brown beer that you can't buy anywhere else. They probably ordered it or something. Or you get in that lovely circle of friends that know how to bring Yingling back when they travel back east. Yingling it's the oldest brewery in the United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's good beer, by the way. That's we pay ourselves, we justify ourselves in payment somehow.
Yeah,
that's the way the world
pay it
works.
forward.
If you're in Vegas, you barter. What's
Mm-hmm.
that? What's that all about? You barter. You do some work, I give you a reduction in the restaurant, or I comp you at the golf course. There's comps. There's stuff like that going. And if you do get comped, you better keep the cycle going. Otherwise, whoever comped you, they're cut off. That's just the way it works.
Yeah,
I've gone to a lot of shows. I've gone to boxing matches. I've gone to concerts. You name it. Depending on the show and what the circumstances are, you roll up a $20, $50, $100 bill. That's just what you do. And you shake hands with the maitre d' and you say the name of the person that comped you. That keeps everything in the circle. That keeps you in the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, they know. I went to a show at the Aladdin before they tore it down and rebuilt it. It was back in the day. It was I knew the entertainment director's wife, and she comped us had a visitor come out from Oklahoma, and they comped us this show, and I go up and I don't know what's going. It's a country weekly type entertainment thing, and I roll up $20 bill and I hand it to the gentleman. I said, "It's Rose." I'm not going to say the last name. Oh yeah, Rose. He's our entertainment director, whatnot. And he leans in. He goes, "So you're Bob Moffatt, huh?" Yeah. Okay, right this way. The young lady takes us down and seats us. We're like right by the stage in a round booth thing. Do you want a complimentary drink or a bottle of champagne or anything? I take some scotch and water, She leans in. "So you're Bob Moffatt, huh?" I'm going, crap, this is going to be embarrassing. I'm going to be on stage later. I'm set up, That's what I'm thinking. During the show, these brothers came out. They're young. They're from Canada. They spell their name exactly like me.
Hey.
Moffatt. One of them, his name's Bob Moffatt. I'm going, wow. They're good entertainers. I'm working at the Gold Coast Pro Shop at the Bowling Center. When I leave, I roll up another $20 bill, have my name on the business card. Trust me, it was legit. And on the back, I wrote, discreet, come see me. I'll take care of your entertainment. Just get some free time. I said, would you see that Bob Moffatt gets this card? And he goes, yeah, hell yeah. Well, 4 or 5 days later, I haven't heard from him. Phone rings. I said, Precision Pro Shops, Bob, may I help you? He goes, this is Bob Moffatt. I said, yeah, you're right. It is Bob Moffatt. I already knew it. Well, back and forth, man.
No, this is Bob Moffatt.
Yeah,
No, this is Bob Moffatt.
I said, man, you guys need to come over here. I'll take care of you. You're not going to get bothered. I shook hands with Evander Holyfield and Chuck Norris. I met a lot of people over there. And, I knew how to take care of these kids for entertainment. And he goes, I wish we could. They got us scheduled like dogs at a racetrack. We were just hammered with practice and performance and all this other stuff. And I'm going, wow, I feel for you. But if you ever get the chance, I'm here. You want to come over and vent and have some fun. And, I think they were like age 9 to 13 in that time, somewhere back in there. Years later, I'm back in Oklahoma, and I have to go to Toledo, Ohio. I'm driving by Branson, Missouri. Big billboard, Moffatt Brothers. Highly successful music act, when Al Gore invented the internet and stuff.
I remember that. 94.
Do you remember MySpace? You remember MySpace?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tom was everybody's friend.
Yeah, man. Well, that's when I was doing music, photography and stuff then. But, the name Bob Moffatt was popular. I was teaching at the college and had been, but nobody knew who the hell I was because I was buried 7 or 8 pages deep on the internet. Al didn't put me up front. He put Bob Moffatt up there, the musician, and his brothers. And I don't know. You type in Bob Moffatt now, what are you going to come up with? Probably some welder guy, not camera guy, welder guy. Because what have we done? We've done things in the views and whatnot. I still fully respect Bob Moffatt, the musician. I'm getting to know this other guy.
Yeah.
No, I did a presentation. You go through these as an educator. You go through reviews. You get the classroom observation type stuff. It's a formal thing. But depending on how long you've been there, you either get them once every 3-5 years, whatever, or you get one every year or something. Anyway, I had the president of the college in there. This guy's a hoot anyway. And I went through the presentation one day had the CNC plasma. The lesson plan was rob an image off the internet, save it, transpose it into black and white bitmap, which easily juiced into the program, create the cut path, edit it because of you need to cut the way you're going to cut it out. So I went out and I robbed the biohazard. And I picked one that you had to edit so that when it came out of the material, it stayed together, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I did all that stuff, and it took less time than I thought it would. Oh, shit. Let's go hang this by the coffee pot down in NDT because that stuff's caustic. It's a worthy sign. And I said, here's something of interest. And I typed in Dr. Pat McAtee, this gentleman's name. All these old-time pictures come up of archived articles and news letters and books and whatnot, and it was back before he wore glasses. He's sitting at the back of him and goes, "Where the hell did you get that?" "That's me, man. That's me when I was going to school out in Fort Hays, And I said, "Welcome to the internet, sir. Your information is not private so much anymore.
Public now.
You may not want it to be at times, but you're out there, babe. It's here. That's you." He goes, "That's cool, It's a good observation. I mean, I knew it was going to be. That's not why I brought it all up. I just did it to kind of mess around. And I said, "Dr. McAtee, watch this." And I told him, I said, "Your lowly welding instructor here at college, it might be on the first or second page of the internet now. You go do a type search, whatever." And it was. And some of our tech guys will, in conference, in meetings, and they'll say, "Our college has more views by far because of one individual." You don't know. You don't understand it yet. They don't get social media to a level that I don't think they're using it beneficially to everything else.
Right.
And I quit using certain tags because somebody may comment negatively in an area, and I don't want that audience to be. We've always kept it PG-13. We live in the Bible Belt. I don't want anybody cussing or anything. You put something out that may be fun in the welding arena, it only takes one. Somebody take a negative comment, and then I don't want to do that to the college. But for the offering, gee whiz, we got fans from all over the world. Jason, you have them, we have them, I have them. When I went down and was having a tough time, I told you I didn't know they were there. Here I can't find that certain individual's article here. It may be in another account, which I don't want multiple accounts. But anyway, I got up and I had all these message requests. I'm not the brightest when it comes to using these apps and stuff, and they were stuck in there, and I was reading them, and I'm telling you, they were from all over, and it really kind of set me back. And this past Fab Tech, I had too many people walk up and say, and I know you hear it too. You had to have heard it. They walk up to you and they say, "I wouldn't even be welding if it wasn't for you."
Yeah. I had a kid walk up to me today, and he's like, it's because of you I passed my stick test or my MIG test or my flux core test. And I was telling a story today, man. This guy reached out to me. Oh, damn.
It kind of rips your guts out.
It
what I do is I want to know where you're at because I'm going to come sleep. I want to sweep your floor. I want to come work with you.
Right.
I want to learn from you,
No, and I get that 100%. And I never knew, the power of social media, but this dude, Mike Wheatley, reached out to me,
Who?
Mike Wheatley.
I know Mike Wheatley. Is he from Bremen, Oklahoma?
I don't know exactly where he's from. I don't think we ever got into that, but now he watched some of my videos, and he learned how to take his place.
I've known that name. He's from my area. He worked at a Conoco refinery in Ponca City, if it's the same for that common
But
name.
yeah, we'll have to get into it after the show, but
yeah.
he watched some of my videos, and he was able to get into a position at this company that he really wanted to work for.
Oh.
And now he's doing like this large diameter structural pipe. And it's just insane. Like I'm following his welding journey, and like I don't know, I was asked to like stand in front of a camera and like shed some light on some of the shit that I knew, and I never thought that it would be as beneficial to a lot of people that it has been. You know, and like when I met that young man today at the Fronius booth, he's like, "Hey man, I just want you to know that it's because of you I passed my 3G structural cert test."
Yeah, it's humbling. And
it is.
I mean, to me, it sets me back. I don't take any of that for granted.
No.
And I never got into it.
It's like, holy shit, man. Like, congratulate. Like, you did that on your own. I may have, like, given you some insight or
steered you in the right
direction, but it's always cool to see somebody else's welding journey.
Yeah, I'm not going to take credit for it. And I know you won't either.
No.
It's powerful. You know who I'm talking about. It was like, he thought I was, I know why he was into it. It's like this notoriety thing, and I tried to explain, no. Don't even go there, man. That's not how I live my life. That's not the purpose of this. Much deeper than that. It's the connection of real hearts and souls of people. You help people out. It's the right thing to do. It's what we do. You go collect all you want off of it. I'm not interested in that. I'd rather... I feel richer. I feel wealthy because of these other fine folks and fans. We wouldn't have been able to do what we're still doing, and I want to pick it up again, rock and roll. I've just had a little delay is all it is, really. I'm not going to give it up. But we were able to do what we do because of the fine folks, the fans, And it was drive. We field questions, we create. The work behind it was intense. Mm-hmm. They may not know it, but some of it was fun. Some of it was a brutal grind, absolute grind.
100%.
Thankless, and you get your butt chewed out, you get dogged out, you get shot at. It's just bad. It's tough. And the haters, the mentality, but through it all, there's some fine folks, and that's where I felt the success. The credit should have gone. It's back to the fans. I almost said that today, and I missed that opportunity, and I probably should have. But, you're trying to speak to that group today. You field them out and everything, and why they're there. They're having a good time. That was a good event. And people were saying it today. I had some old guys walk up to me today. He said, I may be doing it longer than you. What's your year? I said 1974. He goes, I got you by one, man. I started in 1973.
Old guy with a white beard and a camera.
It's not a contest. He knows some stuff. He's seen some stuff. I like hanging out with the older people. Like, I've had a lot of friends, and they've middle-class engineers at Conoco, or you date a girl or whatever. I want to talk to their parents or grandparents. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the chick's cool, but I want to know these people over here. They got the stories. My scoutmaster, man, I can't say enough about that old guy. He was one smooth dude. He didn't overreact. He put us in some situations of not extreme hazard, but you could better survive in the cold weather. You better know what to do. Something could happen, and he took you out and exposed you to that area. It's that depth, it's that depth of how you think and respect everything around you. We talked about products and safety and all that stuff, and it's a deep craft we're in.
Oh yeah.
Everybody kind of takes us for granted, but by golly, honor thy electrician, honor thy plumber, honor thy grandmother that cooked for you and kept you alive. It's a good circle of pay your respects. Pay it forward, do the right thing.
Yeah.
But if I'm working, you're standing next to me, don't watch me suffer and drown. Go ahead and hand me the
grinder. Hand me the
vice grip. So, turn the bottles on, change the wheel, something, do something.
Yeah.
That's been a pleasure, sir.
Good way to end it,
Always
Bob.
a pleasure. I've learned a lot, man.
Likewise. I know we gotta get you to the airport early on in the morning. It's kind of late at night, so we'll go ahead and drop it here, man. I appreciate it. It's always great linking back up with you, and
Absolutely.
Doing an episode in person and stuff. And
got some good hooch over there too. After that's kind of
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The Eagle Rare. It's a Buffalo Trace 10-year. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
I had to drive 350 miles to get that bottle, so it's been a
I'm
pleasure
tough,
splitting it with you.
That 350 miles round trip, one way.
That's one way.
One way. Oh,
One way.
Man,
All the way up to
700-mile trip.
All the way up to Dallas, Georgia.
700 miles. You almost where I'm at. You could have come to my house, man.
I might, man. I'll have to pop out there maybe over the summer.
Next time we get on, if we get on, we've got to highlight mistakes and overcoming stuff.
Sounds like a topic for a great episode.
Yeah, we got to keep it funny. We got to do the funny thing next time.
Oh yeah,
we're kind of serious now. We got to describe situations and scenarios and just rock through them. I'll guarantee you there's going to be humor come out of it.
There we go. We'll go through all the screw-ups and mistakes we learned and wish the pitfalls
we might
wish
learn
we could
new
have
terminology because of it.
There we go.
All right.
All right, Bob.
Have a good evening.
You as well, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with Bob and I today. I hope you all enjoyed our ramblings and found some valuable insight along the way. Don't forget to check out the ARC Junkies website, arc-junkies.podsite.io, where you can stream all episodes past and present, view a full list of the supporters of the show and the awesome discounts they provide, and even pick up ARC Junkies hats, shirts, and hoodies by clicking on the shop tab. I hope you all have a great and safe week, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.